Ladies and gentlemen, would like to announce the arrival of our chief guest, Right Honorable Vice President of Nepal, Mr. Ram Sahaya Prasad Yadav. I'd also like to request all our distinguished guests to kindly stand up in honor of our national anthem.
सार्वभौम भई फैलिएका मेची महाकाली सायो थुङ्गा फुलका हामी एउटै माला नेपाली सार्वभौम भई फैलिएका मेची महाकाली प्रकृतिका कोटि कोटि सम्पदाको आचला वीरहरूका राजधानी स्वतन्त्र र अचल ज्ञान भूमि शान्ति भूमि तराई पहाड हिमाल अखण्ड यो प्यारो हाम्रो मातृभूमि नेपाल बहुजाति भाषा धर्म संस्कृति छन् विशाल अग्रगामी राष्ट्र हाम्रो जय जय नेपाल.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Policy Dialogue on Future Smart Crops, jointly organized by Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Government of Nepal, and Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. Future Smart Crops holds the promise of transforming our approach to food production, ensuring not only increased yields, but also resilient ecosystems and improved livelihoods. Today, as we delve into discussions on sustainable agricultural practices, technological advancements, and policy frameworks, we aim to forge a path towards resilient and intelligent agricultural systems. Your presence here today, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, also reflects a shared commitment to addressing the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead in the realm of smart crop cultivation. Moving forward with the program, for the welcome and highlighting of the objective of the policy dialogue, may I please invite on stage Dr. Govinder Prasad Sharma, Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Government of Nepal.
Thank you very much. Distinguished Chair of the Program, Honorable Dr. Beduram Bhushal, Minister for Agriculture and Livestock Development, Government of Nepal, distinguished Chief Guest, Right Honorable Vice President of Nepal, Mr. Ram Sahaya Prasad Yadav, esteemed guest of honor, Dr. Q. Jung-yu, Director General, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, you will be shortly here. Esteemed guest of honor, Mrs. Hannah Singer Hamdi, United Nations Resident Coordinator in Nepal, distinguished delegates from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, Dr. Revati Raman Paudel, Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Joint Secretaries from different ministries, government officials, Director Generals from the different departments, senior officers from the Government of Nepal, representatives from development partners, representatives from private sectors, excellencies, dignitaries, media persons, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste and good afternoon. It's my great pleasure to be here with you all for this important program on international policy dialogue on future smart crops. The event is jointly organized by Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development and the Food and Agriculture Organizations of the United Nations, FAO. I extend a warm welcome to all the distinguished guests and participants attending this international policy dialogue on future smart crops. It's our honor to have the chief guest, the Right Honorable Vice President of Nepal, with us today here. Thank you for making this event more precious. I would like to extend sincere welcome to Director General of the FAO. I am delighted to the presence of the Honorable Ministers here in the program. As we gather here today, we look forward towards the future of agriculture and the role that it will play in feeding our growing population. One of the key factors in this is the development of future smart crops, which are neglected and underutilized crops that are expected to play a crucial role in the future of agriculture, particularly in the developing countries like Nepal. I'm honored to have experts in the field here with us today to share their knowledge and insights, including their experiences. We hope that this event will be a productive and informative one, and that we can also work together towards a sustainable and prosperous future for agriculture. I would like to appreciate the FAO constantly supporting the government of Nepal in various aspects of agriculture and food systems. This support includes including new and innovative technologies, natural resource management, policy support to government of Nepal, developing the capacity of government officials and farming communities, sharing knowledge and information, and digitalization, and ensuring the food and nutrition security, and also in promotion of sustainable agricultural development. Leveraging the technical expertise of FAO, we are eager to establish a partnership to support the Nepal develop into a center of excellence for mountain agriculture and climate change adaptation. Recognizing the significant role of conserving genetic resources and developing technical capacity and facilitating in ensuring a sustainable future of our planet, I humbly propose the possible collaboration that the Food and Agriculture Organizations FAO consider expanding its efforts in this area. I would like to take a moment to highlight the recent initiation of the government of Nepal, the Decade of Agriculture Investment. This ambitious initiative is aimed at transforming Nepal's agriculture sector by promoting investment in agriculture with innovation, sustainability, and inclusive growth. Through this investment, we hope to enhance the productivity and profitability of our farmers, while also ensuring environmental sustainability, creating jobs, and improving food security of the country. I'm excited to see the progress we can make together towards achieving our shared goals. Therefore, I would like to extend my warmest welcome to the Right Honorable Vice President of Nepal, Mr. Ramsaheb Prasad Yadav, Honorable Minister Dr. Beduram Bhushal, and Dr. Q. Jungyo, Director General of the FAO, and distinguished delegates from the FAO and Regional Representative for Asia and Pacific, and Mrs. Hannah Singer Hamdi, UN Resident Coordinator in Nepal. Your presence here signify the importance and commitment we place on this partnership towards the sustainable agricultural development. Likewise, I extend my wholehearted welcome to the esteemed presence of His Excellency ambassadors, representatives of various missions and US agencies, secretary of various ministries, joint secretaries, senior government officials, and representatives from the research, academia, development partners, civil society, private sector, and other agencies, and media persons as well. Your participation in this significant event is greatly appreciated. Before concluding my remarks, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to all of distinguished guests and participants for your gracious presence, and would like to welcome in the important event. I wish a successful convening of this dialogue. Thank you. Namaste.
Ladies and gentlemen, in line with the title and theme of today's event, This unveiling that we're about to do is not just an ordinary ceremony. It is a digital smart experience symbolizing our commitment to innovation and sustainable practices in agriculture. It is with great honor and pleasure that I now invite our esteemed guests to join hands virtually as we digitally unveil the Millet Compendium. Can we please have the tabs on the stage? Our esteemed guests are going to place their palm onto the tab, and we're going to digitally unveil the Millet Compendium. Ladies and gentlemen, Ladies and gentlemen, this unveiling of Millet Compendium is a celebration of collaboration, knowledge sharing, and the strides we take together towards a future where millets play a vital role in sustainable and smart agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, moving forward in our program, it's now time for the keynote presentation, Future Smart Crops Status and Future Perspective in Asia-Pacific Region. I'd like to invite on stage Dr. Xuan Li, Senior Policy Officer, FAO, Office for Asia and the Pacific, for his keynote presentation.
Your Excellency, Honorable Vice President of Nepal, Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Livestock Development in Nepal, FAO Director General, UN Rescue Coordinator in Nepal, Secretary, distinguished guests and participants, very good afternoon. Namaste. It's my great honor to join this high-level event from Bangkok today. Agrobiodiversity is a subject that FAO has been dedicated for over half a century. I'm very pleased to report you on the progress made on Future Smart Food in Asia-Pacific region, which was an initiative launched by FAO with 30 members and international and national partners for Zero Hunger, and continue to contribute to the FAO's ongoing cooperative initiative like One Country, One Product, and High initiative, etc. nowadays. With your permission, I will share my screen. So my presentation will cover the 4 parts. So we'll start with the agri-food system in Asia Pacific on the features, challenges, and implications. And secondly, about future smart crops on concept, benefit, and approach. And then to report on their status and future perspective and conclude. To start with, what is current agri-food system feature in the region? Let's not forget about hunger and malnutrition with different indicators and different forms of malnutrition, including the undernourishment, stunting, wasted, underweight, micronutrient deficits, and obesity and overweight, etc. So here, important malnutrition accounts for 30 million deaths per year. It's very important longing. And last year, Asia alone was home of over 50% of the people globally affected by hunger. And stunting rate is very high, and over 77 million children under 5 are stunted. And overweight-wise, also over 15 million people are overweighted. And very important to note is healthy diet. Nearly 50% of the people in this region are unable to afford it. So look at the malnutrition. What is the kind of the major contributors from food perspective? Dietary diversity. The low dietary diversity and also low production diversity that will lead to high prevalence of hunger and malnutrition. And unfortunately, in this world, while there is over 30,000 of the edible plant species identified, but we have only concentrated of the human diet on the few items on the rice, wheat, maize, and potato, etc. This unsurprisingly, we see very low diversity in most of our countries. For instance, in Cambodia, in Laos PDR, in Myanmar, in Nepal, except the cereals that we have met the recommended daily intake as per WHO and FAO the level, most other items like pulses, legumes, vegetable fruits are significantly lower than the required minimum level of the daily intake. Also, on the production diversity, our production are over concentrated on few items such as the rice, sugar canes, or maize, cassava, etc. So therefore, we have observed huge gaps in terms of production, but more on the nutrition gaps. If we count further on the growing demand for feeding 9.7 billion people in 2050, that requires more increasing of the production as well as the high cost of the healthy diet. That means our current paradigm shift is required for the agri-food system transformation towards production diversity and nutrition diversity. That is background for us to have this future smart food work, which was starting from the 30,000 of globally edible plant species. We know there is a huge amount of the news that are nutrition density. There is climate resilient, economically viable, and locally available or adaptable. But not all of them are meeting this criteria. Therefore, the effort was made to identify those news that are meeting those criteria, and we start with the work on the crops as future smart crops. So just to highlight a few major the significance of the scientific value of this news was future smart crops. For instance, like pulses. Except the energy on the left column, all other components like protein, dietary fiber, iron, and folate, our major like the nongping beans, mung beans, chickpeas are significantly higher than the rice. For instance, folate. This chickpea is over 70 times to the rice, and iron 4 times than the rice per 100 grams. Similarly, for the millet, we see the very high nutrient compared to the rice. And if you look at what's the health benefit, it's obvious and very significant. For those, this is one study in Sri Lanka, the impact of having the iron-rich lentil diet on the iron deficient of the anemia children. Over 60% of the lentil diet, all these children are already grow out from the anemia. It's very inexpensive but very effective means to treat it. In terms of climate resilience, future smart crops are very much good for the soil improvement, for the fixed nitrogen, water efficiency use, and drought resistance. For instance, on the beef, 1 kilo of the beef requires more than 13,000 liters of water, but 1 kilo of the dal, which will require only 1,250 liters of the water. Similarly, for the mung bean, for the bao, for great yam, rice bean, etc., they are very good for their resistance on drought and different type of the harsh environment. Let alone for many of the other benefits such as economical and also social benefits, etc. So key point is, what is approach to harness this potential of the future smart crop for SDGs? The strategy that we have developed is to integrate of the future smart crop into the farming system, as opposed to the over-reliance on crops. In this regard, a stage approach has been suggested to start with identify what to produce, to where to produce, and to the how to produce, and then moving to the how to process, market, and create demand for the consumption systematically. This will the way to address SDG 2 especially. So partnership building on the future smart food was led by the government with all the different national and international partners, where many of us are they're situated today. And priority setting methodology was multidimensional, especially on the nutrition, production, agriculture production, ecological and social economic dimensions. So therefore, a joint effort was made to cover all this, each and every the proposed crops to analyze the scientific value and from the nutrition and all other dimensions. That leads to the result of the regional prioritization result of 39 crops that have been prioritized. As we can see, many of them, such as the millet, such as the pulses, and many others, has been proposed by the countries and endorsed by the abstract. Examples of Nepal, examples of Bangladesh, examples of the Bhutan, etc. So what is status and future perspective on the future smart crops? So let us just record our global policy framework related to PGRFA that has been a long history to support agricultural diversification. And also the policy recommendation on future smart food is to really highlight the importance of nutrient density and kind of resilience of this future smart crops, and with good of nationally coordinated research to move it forward. Value chain development is very important, and multidisciplinary and multi-sector coordination is key, led by the government. And this has been a great connection and contribution to the corporate initiative, such as One Country, One Party product, especially on this entry point of the special agriculture product, and also hand-in-hand initiatives such as mapping through the GIS mapping, and also Green in City initiative, which is the connection on healthy diet. So what we have done, according to this kind of the value chain approach from the production to the consumption, and we have done the regional TCP on this zero hunger, and we have done climate vulnerability assessment on the pilot on the future smart food in the rice fallow system, such as in India. And we have school meal program, and we have remote sensing work done, and we have evidence-based knowledge sharing, and also overlays rating. So something future, very importantly, is to really focus on the varietal improvement of the food, of the seeds, actually accounts for over 40% of the productivity increase. If we want to have make a huge their impact, we need to look into their national innovation capacity on the varietal improvement. Meantime, also very importantly, we have noticed mapping farming system is critical. As we have seen in South Asia, there is huge areas that are considered rice fallow. For instance, in India, there's over 11.65 million ha, and in Nepal, almost 0.8 mha, and Bangladesh, over 3 mha are considered rice fallow. These are the examples of national farming suitability mapping in Bhutan. So we have done this work under the high, and this to integrate to understand where the suitable area for quinoa, for dried fruits, for the almond, for the avocado, and we have done for many other future smart crops as well in Bhutan. And this is the area, the step that mainstreaming of the future smart crop into farming system. That was very important to tap on use potentials in rice fallow areas and others, and we also need to factor in of the crop calendar, etc., into the picture. For instance, this is the example of the India, which took the initiative by the government to tap the unused potential in the rice fallow areas. Within a very short period of 3 years, this scheme led by the government has increased significantly of the pulses in the production in the country. And this is examples of the mainstreaming of future smart crop into farming system in the hilly area and mountain areas in Nepal. So we can see the country has made great effort to move it forward. And of course, along the value chain development, food waste management, food loss management, especially to have tailor-made for future smart crops of the storage and processing machine is critical. And also to have the marketing and consumption create steady demand. And also meantime to create demand and healthy diet for children of something very important. And here is an example of the ongoing work within our One Country, One Party product. So to have the healthy recipe development for the special agriculture product that integrate our the OCOP into the local but also international recipe for the promotion and for the consumption. And also there is awareness raising activities for the fair and exhibitions, etc. So with this one, I want to have the conclusion by highlighting the key messages. There is a need for a paradigm shift on the agri-food system transformation. Meantime, we do have the great availability of the crops that are nutrient-dense, climate resilient, locally available, and also economically viable. So major step that will be needed for the country to take it forward is to start with a national gap analysis on the nutrition and productions. And secondly, to have the prioritization of the future summer crop that can close dual gaps. Thirdly, to build innovation capacity under the future summer crop, especially on the variable development. And we step forward is to have the mapping on national farming system, and then to have systematically integration of nutrient-sensitive agriculture and climate resilient agriculture into the production, post-harvest, processing, marketing, and consumption. Very key is government leadership will be essential to drive the whole agri-food system transformation through mainstreaming the future smart crop systematically. With this one, I want to thank everyone for contributing this initiative and looking forward to working together with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Dr. Lee for joining us virtually in today's policy dialogue, and our sincere gratitude for her enlightening keynote presentation with all of us as well. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now with great pleasure that I'd like to invite on stage Ms. Hannah Singer-Hamdi, United Nations Resident Coordinator, for her remarks in today's gathering.
Thank you very much. Right Honorable Vice President of Nepal, Mr. Ram Sahya Prasad Yadav, Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Dr. Beduram Bhusal, FAO Director General, Dr. Chu Dongyu, my dear colleagues who are traveling, Regional Director of FAO, and my dear colleagues, of course, traveling, and my very dear FAO representative, other distinguished guests, media representatives, namaste and a wonderful afternoon to all of you. I hope you are all in good shape after hearing, I'm sure you had lunch and you had this excellent presentation as well. So I hope you have the energy as well to listen to the rest of our speeches. But for me, it is my immense pleasure to be here in the opening ceremony today. A gathering that is both timely and critical, as we must give this fundamental human right to food the investment and the urgent action needed. As the resident coordinator of the UN, I take immense pride of the attention bestowed about our beloved Nepal by the high-level visits from the United Nations, first by the visit of the Secretary General Antonio Guterres in November, and now by Honorable Director General Dr. Chu, who represents, in his own words, an Asian soul and a global mind. So today, our focus is on the urgent mission of achieving zero hunger by 2030. At the core of our discussion is the fundamental human right to food. Now, with the current FAO statistics revealing the shocking number of 735 million people facing hunger in 2022, and third of all food produced is lost or wasted, we must commit today to determine a future that is fair to all, because where we are now is a shame on our humanity. As Secretary General Antonio Guterres states, in a world of plenty, it is outrageous that people suffer and die of hunger. So we must act now to prevent 600 million people from being chronically undernourished in 2030. We as the UN have taken the pledge to end hunger by 2030 by joining hands with government and different stakeholders, the private sector and other stakeholders, to eradicate hunger and all forms of malnutrition. But the worrying reality is that while we have crossed halfway point of 2030 SDGs, only 12% of the targets are on track globally. To fulfill this pledge, we must transform our food system. And to do this, there is a need to do the necessary also financing and debt relief. So let me take also this opportunity to congratulate the people and the government of Nepal for the progress that has been done so far. But let us remind ourselves that much more needs to be done. Agriculture is one of the worst or the hardest hit sectors affected by the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss, environmental pollution, leaving around 10% of our population at a very vulnerable condition. But globally, as the presenter showed before me, 30,000 edible plant species exist. Yet the dominance of rice, maize, and wheat renders agricultural food system more vulnerable. Hence, the focus on future smart crops, these indigenous centuries-old marvels, are perfectly suited for Nepal's weather extreme and the nutrition-rich needs. So, but the future is bright. By seamlessly integrating future smart crop within the extensive framework of the agri-food system transformation and aligning with the global initiatives like Hand in Hand initiative, like the Digital Village initiative, the One Country, One Priority product, and many more, a prosperous and a sustainable future is within our grasp. I like to reiterate again what DJ Chu had said, mentioning again the four betters: better production, better nutrition, better environment, and a better life. This way we can ensure leaving no one behind as we achieve the SDG. So let me now leave you with 5 takeaways in order to ensure that we play a catalytic role in achieving the zero hunger. First, as also the previous presenter mentioned, we must ensure a systematic multi-stakeholder consolidation. Very critical. 2, we must invest in research, in inclusive, innovative development, and cutting-edge technology. As Dr. Chu has mentioned, also said, so that 400 million farmers could use their smartphones as a new farming tool. 3, we must promote engagement and accountability of businesses to shape the sustainability of future smart crops, recognizing their centrality in the food and the agriculture ecosystem. 4, at every step, we must ensure the full participation of women and youth, indigenous and farmers and marginalized people at the local level. And lastly, we must ensure a long-term concessional finance and investment, budget support, and debt restructuring. We, the United Nations in Nepal, reiterate our unwavering commitment to working together with all of you, with all actors and stakeholders, so we can ensure everyone has access to safe and nutritious food. Finally, I would like to extend my heartfelt best wishes for a fruitful deliberations and a successful conclusion of this international policy dialogue on future smart crops. Thank you, and Deri Deri Dhanyabad.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hannah, for sharing your thoughts and insights on the intersection of smart crops, sustainability, and the broader goals of the United Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to invite on stage Dr. Chu Dongyu, Director General, the Food of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, for his remarks in this August gathering.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear Honorable Vice President and the ministers and the residential coordinators and the colleagues. It is a great honor for me to welcome you to this international policy dialogue on the future smart crops. It is indeed, we need a debate and discussion to find the consensus. We can think together, design together, working together, and on the same page. That's very important. And also, as you know, I was a geneticist. So the germplasm is a green bank. What is the real global public goods? It is germplasm. And we talk so many times, so many years about the biodiversity, but indeed, we need a food diversity first. Food diversity lead change from production, economic, environment, and also culture, especially food culture. So for that, during past 1 million years, from Addis Ababa Plateau down to the Mongolia Plateau, and here, Himalaya, Tibet Plateau. Human being involved to understand what is real asset. In my humble personal opinion, we need to take care of our last asset before too late. It is biodiversity and the germplasm. Because during 1 million evolution, we lost a lot. And we are more become monocropping and limited varieties of commodities to feed ourselves. But the challenge is clear. By 2050, we are about 10 billion population to be well fed. So clear message is we need to produce more with less. More production, more diversity, and high quality. Of course, more accessible, more affordable food. And with less agricultural input, include water, fertilizer, chemicals, and the natural resources, because natural resources are limited. Water is not the, only water. You can consider water is a gift from God. Water is limited. And also we need less negative impact on the environment. All the problem now, environmental issues created by human beings. Don't blame animals. Don't blame zoonotic disease. Don't blame others. We are intelligent mama animals. We have to take full responsibility and reduce, recycle, reutilize the natural resources properly. How? We need a policy. That's why we started a policy dialogue. We need an enabling policy, fit the purpose, fit the local conditions. Nepal, I'm so proud. You have everything from the lowland, tropical, subtropical, temperate, high mountains, and glaciers. If you use this different kind of natural resource properly, you can feed well your citizen here, and also you can contribute to global food security. Global food security has 3 elements. One is food availability. Second is food accessibility. And more important, food affordability. So, Nepal, you have a historical role to play. I'm happy to see, and this time have a chance to interact with my colleagues, from the leaders down to the farmers. We can find the solutions together. What is the solution for the future? Future smart crops. What means smart? Crop is not smart. People are smart. Politicians are smart. If you are smart enough, you can make crop is smart for us. And also smart is not only climate smart. Climate you can't change. It's a natural evolution. I'm a geneticist, I'm a scientist. But only the mitigation, adaptation. So that's we have smart enough and use each genotype from one genotype to one product, from one gene to one industry. That's the future. Nepal, you have so many, you are rich. You thought by GDP you are not rich, but by biodiversity, by germplants, you are rich. You are one of the richest countries in the world. But how to make it potentially to feed the development, feed the sustainable development, feed the more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient development, and feed my for better strategy framework. Start with the better production. Any country in the world, not only Nepal, China, Japan, Korea, United States, Europe, Africa, Latin America, you have to start with better production. Not only agriculture, even hotel, even the buildings, railways, you need to start with better production. So for better is not only guide the agri-food system transformation, it's guide philosophically the transformation, global development. I'm humbled to say that's my contribution to the SDGs. We need the 4 better SDGs. Name, better education also. You need better education. Yeah, you need also better nutrition. Nutrition, what means nutrition for education? It's a good book, good digital book. When you use a digital book, you can have a less environmental impact. And better environment, not only natural environment, human environment, social environment, cultural environment. So when I say environment, not only talk about, I know UNEP and other colleagues only talk about natural environment. Look, I saw the people here, yeah, and I saw the future because you have created a good environment for people to work and live in this holy land. It's the highest landlocked country in the world. You are more close to the God. You can get the message clearly shorter than other countries because you are close to the God. So better environment and better life, not only better livelihood, better life quality from the childhood to the old. Each physiologist stage, you have a life quality. Some people are young, but they didn't have better quality of life. Some senior, like a minister of agriculture or livestock, or you are prime minister, they are senior, but they still have a high quality of life, right? So we need the 4 better life, not only for the agri-food system. And for that, we need to work together to make all the potential smarter crops fit the purpose for human being, for economic, social environment. If we're willing to strengthen collaboration with all of you key partners through the hand-in-hand initiative, 5 key partners or stakeholders, government, international organization, NGO, private sector, and academic institutions. And 1 country, 1 commodity, not only 1. I should say 1 plus N. So through the science innovation, through the youth and women engagement and empowerment, and through the responsible investment, that's the only solution we can build the future with a better future, with a bright future, with a smarter life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zhu, for your insights and perspectives on the future of smart crops, aligning with the FAO's commitment to fostering resilient and sustainable food systems worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure and honor that we now request our chief guest for today's event, Right Honorable Vice President of Nepal, Mr. Ram Shahya Prasad Yadav, for his remarks in this August gathering.
Chairperson, Honorable Minister, the Minister of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Director General, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, Resident Coordinator, the United Nations in Nepal, distinguished guests, dear journalists, security personnel, ladies and gentlemen. I express my gratitude and congratulations to the organizers and all the participating dignitaries for the very important program, International Policy Dialogue on Future Smart Crops, and express my best wishes for the success of this dialogue. Nepal is an agricultural country. Although agriculture is the main source of livelihood for most of the people here, this sector, which covers a quarter of the country's economy, is limited to subsistence farming, along with geographical, biological, and cultural diversity. There is also diversity of terms in terms of climate, culture, tradition, food, fauna and flora, etc. Despite this, Nepal's agricultural farming system is limited to some mainstream food crops. It is not good that only crops such as rice, corn, wheat, potatoes, etc. appear in the domestic production of the agricultural sector in Nepal, where there is a majority of groups who prefer worshipping nature and celebrating festivals based on food items and other crops. In Nepali food, we mean rice, pulses, and vegetables. It works as a solid food for the manual labor class. But it is not mandatory to eat these foods to meet the needs of the body. The nutrients obtained from those foods can also be obtained from other foods. Other sources of fibrous foods such as amaranth, buckwheat, finger millet, foxtail millet, naked barley, proso millet, etc. are good alternatives to mainstream foods. However, food items made from millet, barley, etc. are looked down upon and ignored as food for the poor. Another irony is that we plant paddy as much as we can on arable land. We don't pay enough attention to millet and buckwheat. Our farming system can also be considered the reason for the decline of these crops. Ladies and gentlemen, the government carries out agricultural commercialization and food security projects under the name of agricultural development strategy, but does not seem to be trying to do anything for the neglected crops. The Prime Minister's Agriculture Modernization Project is currently underway in the country, in which 177 zones and 16 super zones are in operation. Most of the zones or super zones are focused on rice, wheat, maize, potatoes, cash crops, and spice crops. If the concept of sustainable agriculture is not promoted and there is no improvement program in the case of traditional crops, there will always be a situation of having to import crops that can be easily produced in one's own place. There are many other neglected species in Nepal. The Food and Agriculture Organization has classified grains, pulses, tubers, vegetables crops, and spice crops with many potentials as future smart crops. It includes tertiary buckwheat, sorghum, foxtail millet, proso millet, foxtail amaranth, blood red amaranth, pearl millet, taro, yam, harshgram, etc. These crops are of the traditional species and the local people are protecting them. A lot of production can be obtained at a low cost, being locally available, rich in nutrients, environmentally friendly, and economically beneficial. It has a strong potential to be established as a future smart food among neglected crops and have yet to be noticed by stakeholders. It is necessary to protect them. Ladies and gentlemen, it is necessary for the farmers as well as the government to pay attention to it because it can give a good production at low cost on marginal land, even in harsh climates, and is full of nutrients. On the one hand, the food supply will also increase, and on the other hand, there will be nutritional security. In the current situation, fibrous foods like tertiary, buckwheat, millet, barley, and yam are considered beneficial even for patients with chronic disease like heart disease and diabetes. Their demand is increasing in the city. Therefore, it can become a good source of income for farmers in hilly and Himalayan regions. We especially look forward to eating nutritious foods like barley, pearl millet, taro, yam, etc. during the festivals. It is necessary to include such neglected crops in the farming system. It is necessary to inform the farmers about their importance by conducting various training and awareness programs. It is necessary for the government to draw attention to the improvement of such crops as well as commercial farming. Ladies and gentlemen, however, Nepal has made a good progress in improving the food security situation and curbing pervasive undernutrition in the country over the past decades. There have been remarkable strides in cutting multidimensional poverty as well. I appreciate the efforts of the government of Nepal and lower tier governments for their efforts in bringing the so-called future smart crops to the limelight and striving for their promotion. I take this opportunity to thank FAO and other development partners for joining hands with the government in this endeavor. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this international policy dialogue on future smart crops, among others, will delve into addressing these issues. Moreover, this dialogue is expected to pave ways to share and exchange global as well as regional knowledge and experiences in promoting future smart crops. I wish a successful convening of the dialogue. Thank you very much.
Our sincere gratitude to our chief guest, Right Honorable Vice President of Nepal, for his remarks. Your presence here today also shows your commitment towards the future smart crops. Ladies and gentlemen, as we head towards the closing of this inaugural session, I would now like to request our chair for this event, Honorable Minister Dr. Beduram Bhushal, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Government of Nepal, for the closing remarks.
Thank you. Our chief guest, Right Honorable Vice President of Nepal, Dr. Kyu Dung Gyu, Director General of FAO, Ms. Hannah Singer Hamdi, United Nations Residential Coordinator in Nepal. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my immense pleasure to be here and taking chair of this international policy dialogue on future smart crops in the gracious presence of the esteemed dignitaries. Nepal boasts incredible biodiversity and various farming landscapes. However, it's disheartening that a significant part of the population still struggle to secure enough food. The challenges in agriculture due to climate change are evident. But within these challenges, there is a beacon of hope: indigenous crops. The future smart crops hold the key to alleviating food insecurity and tackling the impacts of climate change. We recently concluded the celebration of the International Year of Millets 2023. And we have just launched the Millet Compendium, which I believe will serve as a valuable reference document on millets. However, millets alone are not significant. We need to prioritize numerous of other crops such as buckwheat, taro, drumstick, jackfruits, grass pea, Nepal broad trees, and many more that boast higher nutrient content, including minerals and medicinal properties too. In light of the changing climate and heightened concern surrounding food security and nutrition, we must broaden our focus. The transformation of agri-food system requires comprehensive measures that tackle interconnected challenges like climate, food, nutrition, water, land, biodiversity, and energy. Future smart crops possessing remarkable resilience to climate changes play a pivotal role in ensuring food security and nutrition. Moreover, they act as catalysts for rural transformation and innovation. In light of the above, we have to make better links between production, consumption, and nutrition to tackle malnutrition and its causes, especially in terms of diversifying agricultural and food systems. In this context, I take this opportunity to share with you that we are planning to solve future smart foods based on snacks in our official meetings at the ministry. Diversified agricultural systems would reduce over-reliance on a few staple crops that are close to their potential yield levels. Moreover, agricultural diversification also gives farmers a better chance to cope with the effects of climate change. Further, dietary diversification is a cost-effective, affordable, and sustainable means of strengthening local food system and reducing hunger and malnutrition. Recognizing the complex range of factors that contribute to hunger and malnutrition, multi-sectoral approaches is needed to ensure the production and utilization of those crops which have better nutritional qualities. Therefore, the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development and FAO is organizing this international policy dialogue on future smart crops. I believe that this policy conversation will be crucial towards integrating future smart crops into policies and programs. I appreciate the contribution of FAO in supporting the government of Nepal in agriculture development in general and in promoting the future smart crops in particular. Finally, I would like to thank Right Honorable Vice President of Nepal for the gracious presence in this event. Likewise, I would like to thank Director General of FAO and all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our Chair, Honorable Minister Dr. Beduram Bhushal, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Government of Nepal. And with this closing remarks, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank all our distinguished guests for their presence and participation in the inaugural session. And with the permission of the Chair, I announce that this is the end of the inaugural session. Thank you very much to all our distinguished guests who are here on the dais for a fantastic start. I'd like to request all our distinguished guests to kindly be seated because we are jumping right into our technical session. Ladies and gentlemen, as we transition to the next phase of today's program, may I request all our distinguished participants to kindly be with us, and our gratitude to our chief guest for his valuable presence, to our guest of honor, and to all our distinguished guests as well. Ladies and gentlemen, As we transition into the next phase of today's program, I am pleased to announce the commencement for our technical session. This is a pivotal part of our event where distinguished speakers from various countries will share their invaluable insights, findings, and future plans regarding smart crop initiatives. Throughout this technical session, ladies and gentlemen, we will embark on a journey across borders, delving into the diverse experiences, innovative practices, and the impactful strategies implemented by each country represented here. The stage is set for a dynamic exchange of knowledge, fostering a collaborative environment where we can learn from one another and collectively contribute to the advancement of future smart crop cultivation. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, as I mentioned, the stage is all set. We would like to welcome our chair for this technical session, Dr. Xuan Li, who is joining us virtually and who also recently gave the powerful keynote presentation. Joining virtually, we also have Dr. Crispus O.A. Oduri, Chief Research Scientist, Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization. Joining us virtually, we also have Ms. Shoni Zhangmo, Senior Agriculture Office, Agriculture Production Division, Department of Agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock in Bhutan. We also have Dr. M.D. Moter Mohammed, Senior Scientific Officer, Plant Breeding Division, Bangladesh Agriculture Research Institute, and we also have Dr. Ramkrishna Shrestha, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, present with us. I see our chair on the screen, and now I would like to invite Dr. Crispus O.A. Oduri, Chief Research Scientist, Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization, for the presentation about how Kenya is preparing and the strategies that they have also implemented when it comes to future smart crops.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to invite our first speaker, who is our distinguished guest from Kenya. He is the Chief, Dr. Crispus Oduri is Chief Research Scientist, Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization. He holds a PhD in plant breeding from University of the KwaZulu-Natal African Center for Crop Improvement in South Africa. So that today, he's going to share with a great experience in the finger millet, who he has dedicated his 35 years in these areas. So with great pleasure, I'd like to invite Dr. Oduri to give their presentation. Floor is yours. Over to you.
It is definitely quite a challenge bringing together experts from all around the world, and we are facing some technical difficulties. So with the permission of the chair, may I please hand over the floor to Ms. Shoni Zhangmo, Senior Agriculture Officer, Agriculture Production Division, Department of Agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock in Bhutan, for her presentation in this technical session.
Okay, good afternoon to everyone. Okay, sorry. So good afternoon to all the distinguished delegates. I'm happy to present a paper on especially focusing on millets. So let me share my presentation. Am I audible? Hello?
Very good.
Am I audible?
Yes, sure. Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'll start. So I'm here as a representative or the national focal for the cereal program, which actually includes rice, maize, and all other cereals. So this is the outline of my presentation. It will be a very brief presentation. So first the introduction, current status, the challenges, and the way forward that we are proposing. So just to give a brief introduction to the country, because there are many people who might not be very aware of Bhutan. So Bhutan is actually a very small land of country, and it's located in Eastern Himalayas. We share border in the north with China and in south, east, and west with India. And our mass land area is only 38,394 square kilometer. And we have approximate population of less than a million, so just 0.77 million. And as of 2021, 43.5% of people relied on agriculture as source of livelihood. And this dependency on agriculture has been decreasing with the passing years, which means that people are now shifting to other source of livelihood than agriculture. And the cultivated area as of now is just 2.75% out of 7.8% that is arable or cultivable. And though the land area is small, we are blessed with diverse agroeconomic zones. That is, we have zones that start from subtropical till the alpine, from 100 meters above sea level to that of 7,500. And as per the census in 2018, the average land holding of a farm is 1.5 hectares, and agriculture contributed 19.19% to GDP in last year. And 96% of the production is done by households. That means we don't really have commercial farms. So as you can see, so this is Bhutan, just to know that we are located here, very tiny one. And to go into why the cereal is very important to witness. So as like we're in the countries in Asia, cereal is also a central part of Bhutanese cuisine. So, and we commonly used to have this concept of Drunagu, which means 9 foods, which is inclusive of rice, maize, wheat, barley, buckwheat, millets, pulses, oilseeds, and amaranths. And these crops are grown from like 200 till 2,300 meters above sea level, especially for this minor crops that we term like rice and maize are staple crops, and rice is definitely consumed. It's a staple diet besides maize. But other crops, cereals like wheat, barley, buckwheat, and millets are termed as it's a minor crops because we don't really consume it. And likewise, the cultivation is also not in a huge scale, as you would see in my presentation slides, following presentation slides. And millets as such has been traditionally consumed, and it has been part of diet, which is not very prevalent as of now. But this cereal can also be cultivated in poor and marginal soils, which is actually common practice here. And they don't really use any inputs like fertilizers, pesticides, or irrigation. And because it's not very important or staple food for Bhutanese, the commitment or the investment is not there in terms of research, and likewise its documentation. So just to give you how is the production trend, as you can see, as of 2022, the production, when we look at compared to 2010, it has drastically reduced by more than 50%. So, and to give an overview of the consumption pattern of different cereals, as you can see, like I mentioned, rice is the main staple, so the consumption is also high, it's 150.2. Then we have maize, 40.02 kg per year. Then wheat is 16.01, and buckwheat is 5.72, and millet, as you can see, it's 2.74 kg. And barley comes the lowest with 0.97 kg per year. So, and the import dependency ratio is also like less, because as you can see that consumption and demand is not there. That's why the production, even the minimal production, is enough to meet the demand here. And like elsewhere in Asian countries, as I mentioned, so there is high dependency on rice, and that's why there is no diversity in food being consumed. And likewise, because our production, especially rice production, is not enough, the domestic production is not enough to meet the demand. We import a lot from the neighbor countries, especially India, and for the wheat, especially used for the bakery products. So we also import a lot of wheat from neighboring countries. And for the millets, there are 3 types of millets grown in Bhutan as of now. They're like finger millet, foxtail, and common millet. So these are mostly grown in southern and eastern districts, where the landholding are also less, and people are like kind of like remote areas, and they are like not very well off. So these are the people who depend on this millet. And the most most commonly cultivated type is finger millet, and it is grown from 200 till 2,300 meters above sea level. As of 2021, the cultivated area was just 2,273 acres, and the production was 1,122 metric tons. And you can see from here that the production has also decreased, as I showed the graph of the production trend. And as the area and production is decreasing, the household, I mean corresponding households, those who are growing, also has decreased, as it decreased to 6,200 in 2021 from 8,026 households in 2018. And what are the challenges? It's not just about the millet, but it would be for all the other minor crops that I said. The minor crops that would include is buckwheat, millet, then barley. So these are termed as minor crops, and as such, it doesn't feature as a priority crop for the country or the Ministry of Agriculture. So that's why the result is that we don't really invest. It is also due to the fact that we are not very resource rich in terms of financial, technical, everything. So we try to like focus our limited resources to what is very important as of now to the Buddhist context. So this crops definitely don't come up in the list. And due to this low support in terms of resources, it results in minimal research and development. So we don't have any high-yielding varieties of millets as of now released, as no works have been done. And though we also, Bhutan also have this national adaptation plan, which is linked to adapting to changing climate, but the plan has remained as a separate document, and it has not been able to integrate with the 5-year plans, which is important to ensure that the resource allocations does happen. And because there is no work done, then the other result is also that we don't really have much information on millets as of now, and very less documentation on what's being done and what has been done. And one thing is also clear that as of now, people don't really know how to consume or mainstream that the millet into the food habit. So there is this lack of demand from the market. If there is this awareness, and then there is huge demand, production will naturally pick up actually. And because of the nascent or very underdeveloped sector, millet sector, we don't have good value addition to like process good value addition, which means that we don't really have good processing of millet into other, like make it more palatable. And these are the way forward that we would like to propose in this forum. So we need to recognize the important role of millet into in its role in securing food and nutrition security, especially at household local levels, which are remote and which doesn't necessarily have this luxury of resources, especially because we know that we are facing the impacts of climate change. We also need to increase the awareness of all the stakeholders, be it consumers, the producers, and also at the government level, so that there are resources being pumped into this very important crop. And we also need, like I mentioned in the challenge, that there is no integration of this national adaptation plan for climate change. So we need to integrate this plan with the 5-year plans of the department or the government. And in order to create demand and also that would result in production, increase in the production, we also need to develop high quality niche products for both for domestic and export markets, especially to focus on organic production and certification. And we need improved access to germplasm and technology support from the institutions and countries that we advanced in this crop development. And we also need to enhance the technical capacity of all stakeholders throughout the value chain, so that this can like come together as not in bits and pieces, but we need to look throughout the value chain so that development is holistic and this crop can be like taken forward. And lastly, it's very important that given that we are like resource poor country, we need to facilitate and establish institutional linkages and collaborations. So these are the pictures that I said about the common the 3 types of millets that are usually found. And these are like bits and pieces of the trainings that the local governments they carry out based on the importance of that crop in that particular district or prefecture, but it not necessarily doesn't come as a national plan. So these are the trainings for value addition that was supported by one of the donor agencies. And these are the very like let's say like raw processed products that are being produced by these farmers groups and cooperatives. So these are few of the products that are actually commercially available in the market, but we can do much more to enhance their enhance its like quality. And thank you. That's all from me.
Thank you so much, there for your excellent presentation, Ms. Sambo. I think there are a few key messages that we really, you convey to us is that given by their millets, which has a great their climate resilience and other feature, consumption and production of both remain very low. And especially in the last 10 years, the production has been continuously decreased. So this is something that is really alarming, especially in the year of the International Year of the Millet. That hopefully this is something that we can revive this the great potential and bring back to the policymakers' attention. As you rightly mentioned, it needs to be into the national 5-year the plan, and also to have the good kind of coordination mechanism and also program to be able to bring this whole value chain approach to revive this millet. This has become more alarming in the climate change adaptation issue. So we do hope that this per capita consumption of millet, instead of the only 2.74 kg per year for millet, and it could be have the different reallocation with the rice, which is over 150 kg a year. So that, as we showed earlier on in my presentation, we see this kind of basic wonderful nutrient density that will be really good for all the people who consume the millet. Okay, with this one, I want to thank again, and I'd like to give the floor to our Dr. Audrey. You are back to our stage. So can we invite you to give the presentation to share experience in Kenya and millet, and maybe more focus on the finger millet, etc. Floor is yours, Dr. Audrey.
Thank you. I'm Crispus Oduri from Kenya, working for the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization. My specialty is finger millet breeding. So I don't know whether you have my presentation there or I'll share my screen. Hello?
We can hear you well, but we have
Yeah,
not
can you
seen the slides.
can
Not
you
yet.
can you see my screen?
Not yet. Maybe
Yes.
you can try to click the share again.
Okay, let me share the screen.
Yes, we can see your screen, Doctor.
You can see it now, eh?
Yes, we can see the front, the first page.
The first page, yes.
Yes.
So let me put it in PowerPoint mode. So that is my presentation, and I just put together a few slides for this purpose. And I wanted just in the presentation, I outline some of the crops that I consider future smart crops in Kenya. And then I'll dwell more on some of the things that we need to think about in terms of policy to boost the position of these crops in the country. And then I will close with a focus on finger millet, which is my crop of specialty. So these are some of the crops under cereals. Finger millet is a very important component of those, the future smart crops. Up to the other day, it was considered an orphan crop, but I think since we started effort to work on to this, we have boosted the position of the crop. There is pearl millet, foxtail millet, grain amaranth, rosa millet, and sorghum. Sorghum probably has received a little bit more attention, and probably it may not qualify as much here to be considered future because it's already in the system. Under root and tuber crops, we consider cassava, sweet potato, yam, and taro. Under pulses, cowpeas is a very important crop in terms of even as a vegetable and even as a grain. Faba bean, lentils, mung bean, bush bean, soybean, and bambara nut. Bambara nut was once important in our food system, but for some reason, its production has gone down and we need to revive it because it's a very important legume. Under fruits and vegetables, gooseberry is becoming important, the jackfruit, pumpkin, the roselle, and the guava. Guava has been with us for a very long time, but it was just growing wild in the bushes. So we need to harness that and get it back into place so that it can provide the required nutritional value. In terms of nuts, seeds and spices, cashew nut is worth a mention here. So in the areas that I consider now that we need to focus on to boost the position of the future smart crops, we need to look at the research. And here in KALRO, in my organization, we have got programs that cover almost all crops, important crops produced in the country. And we have got programs specific for specific crops and commodities. We have millets research, root and tuber crops research, nuts research, vegetable research, and many more, including even livestock research. The most important thing here is that we need to focus at the whole value chain, like my predecessor, the presenter who came before mentioned that we can only improve these crops if we look at the whole value chain. That is from production to consumption, from the farms to the table, for food. So that in Kenya, we already doing something, some stuff, and we have made quite some progress. But challenges remain. One of the most important challenges is inadequate resources in terms of funding. We don't get a lot of funding and almost no funding from the government, but we rely mostly on donor resources. And this depends on how competitive one can be in grantsmanship. We need to develop policies that strengthen and enhance also the technologies, the adoption of technologies that come from research. Another area that probably we need to look at in terms of policy, the environmental sustainability, the commodities that we are going to bring forth, how are they going to impact the environment? How are they going to be incorporated in the system? We need to look at the conservation practices of the varieties that we develop, the crops that we develop, and even look at how the climate, the effect of climate change has on the varieties or on the crops that we advocate. Here in Kenya, we are still at early stages in terms of development of climate smart crops, but it is an area that we are focusing on, and we believe that we are making some progress, even though more remains to be done. In terms of genetic diversity, because this is very, very important, we have to make sure that we maintain the diversity, the genetic diversity, so that our crops do not become vulnerable. And therefore, we need facilities like gene banks and all that, and resources even to rejuvenate the germplasm that we have. We need to look at the germplasm, where we get it from, and then look at the policies that govern access and the benefit sharing of the germplasm that we acquire from outside, even the diversity that we generate. And of course, we also need to look at markets and policies around the marketplace. Now, the crops have to be competitive in terms of market. They have to have demand. And therefore, there need to be in place policies that encourage or that impress upon the governments to put in place policies that will support the existence of the crops in the farming system. And of course, any crop that doesn't win the demand, the favor of the farmer or the consumer, will naturally perish. And we don't want that to happen. A very good example was that in Kenya one time, because of the superiority of finger millet in terms of production of brews, was like condemned because the government then didn't want people to consume alcohol. It thought probably people were getting confused or disoriented, removed from their daily chores because of consumption of alcohol. What that had, the effect of that on the production of finger millet was that it drastically reduced the production of finger millet. So there needs to be policies that encourage the production of these crops. And therefore, if they are there in the system, we also need standards, quality standards and certification mechanisms to make sure that what gets into the market is quality and that it will have demand, both even within and without for export. We also need to look, as we develop these crops, we also need to look at social equity and rural development in terms of access to resources. Here in Kenya, and I'm giving an example of my crop of work, finger millet, is mostly considered a women crop. And therefore, when we develop the crop, we need to think about the users and the impact it will have on the family setup or the social fabric. We need to educate our farmers, the producers, and even the consumers on the value of some of these crops. Like finger millet is known to be a very nutritious cereal, but most people do not know about this. So once we promote this cereal, this crop on the basis of their nutritional value, then we shall see adoption of the crop and consumption, and therefore enhancing the position of the crop. And the consumption of the crop will have effects on the health of the community because it's known to be a very nutritious cereal. And we know, like even here in Kenya, you go to hospitals in terms of management of some of these maladies, diabetes and all that. The doctors recommend consumption of finger millet. And therefore, if we drum that message and promote, we are going to obviously enhance the position and the contribution of the cereal in the well-being of the society. Infrastructure is one of the main challenges that has been there in terms of even the physical infrastructure, the roads, and all the post-harvest infrastructure in terms of Yeah, my connection had gone. I hope I'm back.
Yes, doctor, you're back and we can hear you.
All right. So the other thing is that we need to have regulatory frameworks in place and look at even some of the potential areas, develop technological advancement, that has happened on other crops. And if it has happened on other crops that have been in research for a long time, then we need to look at regulatory frameworks for the same, like in terms of biotechnology and genetically modified organism regulations, the use of pesticides and fertilizer management, and even at the end of the day, assuring that the products that come out, especially the seed quality, is of high quality, so that when the farmers get access to these products, they are assured of quality, and therefore, if they invest, then they are assured of returns. Another thing that we can't forget about is the data and information systems. We know everything is going digital today, and the smart foods, future smart foods, have to embrace technology. Therefore, there is no way we are going to enhance the position of these crops without embracing technology. And for finger millet, just something brief about finger millet in terms of production in Kenya. It's mostly produced in the western parts of the country, what I call west of the Rift Valley, that area shaded on the map. And the current production stands at about 100,000 hectares a year. We use finger millet for food, some more bakery, confectionery products, malts, and like finger millet is only second to barley in terms of malting quality. We want to mount a campaign to get it into the brewing industry, where there is a lot of potential for growth. Finger millet is used for feed, starch and breakfast and basket weaving. It's also very important as a cash crop because the grain is very important on the market. It's very expensive on the market, and we need to take advantage of this so that people can benefit from that. It also has a lot of cultural value. There are some functions that will not go ahead without having some products of finger millet on board. And in terms of the standing now, finger millet is reputed for nutritional value. And we have, along the way, improved varieties, and we have some early generation seed available. My organization is able to produce certified seed. It has got a registered seed company component, and the crop has entered into the food manufacturing industry. We also now have researchers dedicated, like myself, dedicated to finger millet research, and therefore promising the food benefit of finger millet in the communities. And like this figure is indicating, finger millet has got the richest food profile, nutrition profile, in terms if you compare it among the cereals. We have now startup companies willing to contract farmers to produce finger millet. And some farmers are coming on board to do large-scale farming. The numbers of people or stakeholders who are interested in finger millet along the value chain has increased. And the growing demand for finger millet is indicative of a bright future for the crop. Thank you. I think that is what I had to present to you. And I thank the FAO and the government of Nepal for inviting me to this policy dialogue meeting. And for your information, I've had always something about Nepal, because one of my early varieties that I worked on is reported to have come from Nepal, the highlands of Nepal. So I feel very much at home to speak to you in this forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ojuri, for your excellent presentation and insightful of the sharing. So it's really great that we have the Kenya joint and share experience. And we have noted that we do have the shared prioritization of the future smart food between Africa and Asia. In, of course, the cereal, roots, and tuber and processed foods and vegetables. So that is really kind of the shared their lives. And we know that there is a good improved variety on the finger millets, partially coming from Nepal and with your great effort. So probably in the future, we would expect more of their inter-regional exchange of the information and germplasm on finger millet and many other future smart crops. And probably on this kind of creating a steady demand is something is common challenge between Kenya and here in Asia. And also some of the one-data suitability analysis may be useful for the whole list of their future smart crops. So with this one, I just want to thank again for your great sharing. And now I'd like to invite our next speaker, who is from Bangladesh. He is Dr. MD Motia Rahman. He is a senior scientist officer and in the plant breeding division in Bangladesh Agricultural Institute. He's a leading breeder in the plant breeding division and also focusing on the Ramdasalan and drought tolerance, barley and millets. So with this one, I want to invite him to share good experience in Bangladesh. Dr. Rahman, floor is yours.
Thank you very much for introducing me, and welcome from Bangladesh. And before going to my presentation, I would like to apologize that our Director General was supposed to come here, but due to some unavoidable circumstances, he is not available. So before going to my presentation, okay, I will talk on the status of future smart crops in Bangladesh. This will cover the points, importance, distribution, millet scenario in Bangladesh, challenges of millets in Bangladesh, and initiatives of Bangladesh government, way forward and conclusion. You know, water is the key input in agriculture, and particularly the increasing of land temperature has been doubled after 1980s, and due to climate changes, these two situations make the country, particularly irrigation system, is very much vulnerable. You know, in Bangladesh, about 73 to 75% irrigation is done from underground water, and if this situation is continued after 20 years, it is very difficult to get irrigation water. So with these circumstances, we are searching also smart crops that will fulfill our demand of food and nutrition. And millets is the group that that is very efficient and also resilience, and with high nutrition, high fiber, and antioxidant, and they can save also greenhouse gas emission, and they can also tolerate high temperature as like as 42 degrees Celsius. Therefore, they offer in Bangladesh for nutrition security in future by agrodiversity, low nutrition requirements, greater carbon sequestration, prevent erosion in arid region. Considering this, the year 2023 was observed as millets year. Particularly this year awarded our country to ensure millets for future crops. And this is the distribution. Actually, millets are the crops are distributed in a dry region, particularly in Asia and Africa. More than 95% millets are distributed. And types of millets usually, different types of millets used worldwide, but in Bangladesh, only sorghum, proso millet, foxtail millet, finger millets, and also buckwheat. For buckwheat, we have released some varieties in recent years. Besides this, we have some other crops like barley, is saline tolerant. We have 10 varieties already, very suitable for our saline region. And this is the actual scenario of Bangladesh. You know, after the independence of Bangladesh, we have been cultivating millets, but due to tremendous pressure of population, the now cultivable area has been decreasing seriously, and it is only 0.47 hectare per capita. This is very alarming. At the same time, Bangladesh has earned self-sufficiency cereal. Therefore, it is very challenging to replace rice by millets. At the same time, we have been facing problems like diabetes, which is increasing day by day. In this situation, the government has declared millets as future crops, and we have been starting research in millets for the areas, particularly dry and saline areas. And this is actually the foxtail millet and proso millet as the major millets in Bangladesh actually, and their production also decreasing due to ensure the food security by high yielding crop like rice. And this is also sorghum. Usually sorghum used only for fodder purpose, and the product produced sorghum only used for the seed to produce fodder crops only, not for human feed. And this is actually what millets, what amount of millets produced in Bangladesh is, and the figure is still not figure out, but we have been importing millets from India, about 7,800 ton millets were imported in 2022 years, whose value is about 2.35 million. Besides, Bangladesh is importing millets from Ukraine, Turkey, Belgium, and Russia in the year of 2021. And last question, do Bangladesh export millets? Yes. Bangladesh import millets from India, and they are processing and importing to other countries like Malaysia, Singapore, United States, and Canada. And this is the important varieties developed by in the recent year, and we have started our research in 1980s, and lastly, we have released about 10 varieties of millets. Besides this, I have mentioned 10 varieties of barley. They are all saline tolerant. Besides this, we have a program, OCOP by FAO. We have jackfruit. Jackfruit usually is large size and canopy is very big. But we have developed recently jackfruits with a small canopy, and that can bear jackfruits within 2 years only. We have also cassava and other crops like some types of sweet potato also. I have not mentioned there actually. And this is actually the millets we are transforming to the farmers now. And the main problem is our value chain approach, because this chain is very weak in Bangladesh. And the value chain we found in Bangladesh, actually the farmers grow their millets and the wholesaler collect directly for Bangladesh or via some village collector, and they processed and directly sell to the retailers for the mainly bakery purposes. And sometimes they keep their seed and sometimes process self-process sometimes for their own consume. Similar case also proso millet, but this is different from the foxtail millet because all the proso millet is for only bird feed. Therefore, we have an opportunity to create some entrepreneurship, particularly women entrepreneurship, just after production of farmers. And this is challenges usually. We have a very few germplasm to combat the high population prepared, and we need some regional and international cooperation to develop high yielding millets. And we have the challenge to replace the existing varieties by our barrier-reduced variety. And also, there are some problem in the farmers for dehusking, to remove the dehusking problem. And in this case, if we supply some machineries actually to the farmer, they can produce some entrepreneurship here. And another problem is food habit. If they learn that this is food, these foods from millets, oh no, we will not take like this. So you have to remove those problems. And there are also poor research fund for millets and also poor linkage between research and extension. And finally, the limited market opportunity. And this is the government has recently 3 steps. First one, they are producing multigrain for different age of people. And second one, for extension of for production and extension of millets in the active Brahmaputra, Jamuna, and Ganges floodplain. And finally, we have recently working on a project partner. It is working for food diversity in the unfavorable ecosystem. And this is the way forward actually. First of all, we need some small machineries for, as I said, for small women entrepreneurship. And market linkage is very important for Bangladesh. And regular circulation of the nutritionals and also camping of diversified food in kindergarten and primary school. And transformation of millets into healthy and tasty food, tasty rice actually. India has already started. And finally, not work. Actually, besides our river side, we have some area like salinity is more than 1 million hectare, and also some waterlogged area 2.1 million hectare, and Haur area about 0.9 million hectare, and hill area about 1.8 million hectare. And in this area, we have the opportunity to introduce millets crop in Bangladesh. And finally, I would like to conclude that we need global and regional cooperation for high-yielding millets, because we have to replace rice by millet. We have to feed a large population, more than 170 million people. This is very alarming. So in this case, if we have very good collaboration, we will be able to release high-yielding variety, competitive with rice. And we also need some national food value chain development, otherwise the produce will not be reached to the farmers. And finally, I would like to acknowledge the government of Nepal, FAO Nepal for invitation, DG Bari, Bangladesh Agricultural Research Institute, and government of Bangladesh. Thank you very much for your patient sharing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rahman, for sharing the Bangladesh experience. We know Bangladesh is a high population density and with very high multi-crop index as well. So with this, all the kind of challenges, you have highlighted the importance of the smart crops more urgently to adapt to the climate change and food security. So we noticed that Bangladesh has a lot of their important future smart crops besides millet and jackfruits and others. And common challenge you have highlighted is really on this high yielding the crops. This is something critical for almost every countries that we are promoting this special agriculture product. So also processing that machine that contingent to their select product is very important. And as food habit, something that probably will be need to look into more is really linked to food feeding program, which can influence not really on the current consumer, which have already established the food habit, but more influence the future consumers, and through them to influence the parents and families on this food habit. That will create the huge future demand, steady demand for our healthy and climate resilient product. So very much looking forward to working with you and to advance all the future smart crops in the country. So now may I have the honor to invite our the host government, our Nepal, Dr. Ram Krishna Sharanta, who is Joint Secretary in the Ministry of the Agriculture and Livestock Department. He well shared great experience in Nepal on future smart crops, and he has done a lot of their work and leading the programs promoting millets and other indigenous crops. And he has received a lot of reward, including Nepal Civil Servant Award from the government of Nepal, among many others. So now may I have the honor to invite Dr. Shrenta. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Honorable Chair, ladies and gentlemen. Very pleased to be here today to present the status of future smart crops in Nepal. Two of us prepared this presentation. Myself and Dr. Balkrishna Joshi, senior scientist from National Gene Bank, NARC. For those who don't have much idea about Nepal, Nepal is a small country sandwiched between China and India, with a population around 29.3 million. 60% population engaged in agriculture, with a quarter of GDP contribution from agriculture sector. This shows that we are at a low development stage of agriculture development, and also productivity and competitiveness is quite low. We used to be a net food exporter long ago, in 80s, and now we are net food importer. Just to give you some ideas about the general food security and nutrition situation in the country, we have improved in our global hunger index for the last many years. We've been placed at 69th out of 125 countries, but still 4.6 million population is in the state of food insecurity. Is for the Nepal Demographic and Health Survey 2016, and also more than half of the households are in one way or the other, they are food insecure. And if you look at the malnutrition situation, I would like to especially mention about the stunted, which is quarter of population of under 5, they are stunted, and also women, 34% of women, they are anemic. So this shows that malnutrition situation is quite worse, and this is among the worst in global scale, global level. We also been facing this climate crisis, and this food security is highly sensitive to climate crisis. As you might know, Nepal ranks 4th under the Climate Vulnerability Index and 11th in the Climate Risk Index. And the one important thing about Nepal is ours is a small-scale farming, and then small-scale farmers, they are more vulnerable to negative impact of climate change because they have a less capacity of coping with the climate change crisis. So with that situation in place, government of Nepal thinks that future smart crops, they are the hidden treasure, and promoting them could prove a gateway to rural transformation. So you might know the fact that in Nepal, the neglected until few decades ago, the mostly neglected and underutilized species used to be a foundation of food security and nutrition. And most of such nooses, they are nutrient dense, they have a high economic value, locally adaptable they are, and then they have climate resistant properties. So they are also termed as future smart foods. But going to several regions, we have also, like many other countries, we heard the presentation, declining. There has been a declining trend of cultivation and consumption of nuts and other future smart crops. But with the greater realization of importance of and the health benefits of these future smart crops, there has been a renewed interest in the NUS, and then future smart crops in recent years. Just to give you some ideas about some facts about future smart crops in Nepal, we have almost 200 NUS, cultivated NUS. Among them, 50 are potential future smart crops, And among them, mostly grown such crops are finger millet, buckwheat, amaranth, foxtail millet, and proso millet. And we have registered in the National Seed Board, 12 of them. And our gene bank and allied agencies, they have characterized 2,500 species of Nus. And in our national gene bank, we have approximately 4,600 accession of Nus. Like other countries, over the years, such Nus crops, the production area, especially area, has been declining over the years. You can see here with the red line. But we have somehow maintained the pace of production thanks to productivity gain. But it's sad that we don't have much database on such a future smart crops. So we have to do that in days to come. We have to maintain our database and area, production, and yield in days to come. These are the crops selected as a future smart foods for Nepal. When there was one consultative meeting and consultative workshop in Bangkok in 2016 under FAO, Regional Initiative and Zero Hunger Challenge. You can see here Tartary buckwheat, grass pea, taro, drumstick, Nepal butter trees, and jackfruits. These crops have been identified as a potential future smart crop, but we are lagging behind and we have a long way to go for the promotion of all these crops. What happened? Okay. Sorry. It's not working. Going down. Okay, so status and government initiatives for the conservation and promotion of future smart crop. First, what we've been doing under research and conservation. Under research and conservation, we basically doing collection, multiplication, evaluation, regeneration, and characterization. So far, more than 50 elite lines have been identified. Not only that, we have done germplant rescue and repatriation. You may know that during earthquake, we have repatriated 100 land races locally. They were all lost, but due to we have that in our gene bank, we have repatriated 100 such land races. Not only that, through our general trial and then participatory method, we have already repatriated 500 accessions to the local communities. Also, we have a genetic enhancement after that, pre-breeding, breeding, and up to the registration phase. So like I mentioned before, we have already registered 12 of them. And also we have started DNA profiling and genetic study. Not only that, we have already developed methodology and documentation of future smart crop for geographic indication. And through changes in our Seed Act, we have made a relaxed provision for the registration of future smart crops, land races at the National Seed Board. These are the 4 institutions working under Nepal Agriculture Research Council. National Gene Bank working in the area of conservation and breeding. Hillcrop Research basically works on research and breeding and hill crops. And National Food Research Center basically works for nutrient analysis and product diversification. And we have a National Agriculture Engineering Research Center, which basically works for farm machineries and processing machineries. It has developed, for your kind information, it has developed a prototype for chino, the proso millet processing, dehulling. So it's quite popular, and now it has come to a commercial scale. A second is this government program in future smart crop promotion. Like I mentioned before, we call it Future Smart Food Crops for Transformation of Rural Nepal. Why? These are some of the advantages, reason why we call it the potential gateway for the future of Nepal. Competitive advantage, it has food and nutrition security for health benefits, rural entrepreneurship development and employment, women empowerment, climate resilience, and ecosystem services. These are some of the reasons why we call the Future Smart Crop having potential of transforming rural Nepal. We have this special program, government special program. We have a 5-pronged strategy of promoting Future Smart Crop. Number 1 is awareness and sensitization. Please allow me to take a couple of minutes. We have seen that people are not aware of the nutritional benefits and health benefits of Future Smart Crop, and there has been social taboos too. That's why through our female women health workers, NGO workers, and teachers, we've been doing this massive campaign about raising awareness and sensitize policymakers and politicians on the importance of these Future Smart Crops. That's one component or one strategy. Second, to reduce the cost of production, we provide a lot of support to farmers, including direct cash transfer. Not only that, technology support, seed support, mechanization support, small machinery support, all comes within this strategy. Third one, this is probably the most important one because it creates backward and forward linkages, because we don't have a much variety of NUS or Future Smart food. So small kids, they won't like dhido or roti or porridge kind of stuff. So through this strategy, we have developed almost 80 plus master trainer centrally, and they are now spread all over the country, and they are now training a hotelier, homestay owner, and then restaurant owner about the product diversification. And also emerging startups, they are also coming, and we are supporting them under this entrepreneurial and marketing support to open up retail shop, to open up homestay, and then for value addition and marketing, we support under this strategy and component. And the final one, fifth one, conservation of land races. While doing all these 4, we need to conserve our land races. We do this basically through community seed banks. We promote them, we help local level to establish community seed bank, and community seed bank collect, analyze, and then do seed production and exchange seeds. And then some of them, on the verge of extinction, they go to National Gene Bank for the long-term conservation. And then for those having commercial potential, they go to National Seed Board for registration. Some of the photos of promotional activities, you can see, entrepreneurship development and in value addition. This is a school millet campaign. We have initiated this campaign. I can see Santosh Sahai here. It was carried out in one of the fine day of May in Kathmandu. 79 government schools with more than 34,000 students. They had a midday meal with this proso millet and foxtail millet porridge. And we have also initiated this branding. This is from Makwanpur Gadi Palika. They have done on their own, but within our framework, and initially we supported them in that. And there are a lot of other value-added products too. I won't be going into detail. And recently, the government of Nepal, with its Nepal's food system transformations, context, pathways, and actions, identified Future Smart 4, Future Smart Crops, and Future Smart Food in 4 out of 5 action tracks. They have a mention of strategic action and pathways related to Future Smart Crops. And we have a number of other recent policy initiatives to the effect of promoting Future Smart Crop. For example, government announced Be Pride on indigenous crop, if you like, Future Smart Crops campaign through its annual budget of this running year. Also, government declared through its policy and program unveiled in the parliament, Future Smart Crop is a priority program. Followed by that policy program, the government announced and has a major provision of purchase of future smart foods through Food Management and Trading Company, FMTC. This is a government undertaking. And also, through budget, government has announced the inclusion of future smart foods based recipe in the school midday meal program. And we have collaborated with the FAO as well in celebrating International Year of Millets. We ran school millet campaign in more than 120 schools and covering over 50,000 students. And you just saw in an opening session, we have published this millet book, Millet Tradition, Science and Technology. These are two big achievements, I guess, during this International Year of Millets in collaboration with FAO. These are some of the glimpses of the campaign. And we have also, we are part of this millet policy brief on revitalizing millets for rural transformation in Nepal under the auspices of ICIMOD, Himalayan University Consortium, University of Reading, in both languages. You can have through ICIMOD in Nepali and English, both languages. And you can just have a look what are some of the impacts of this recent initiative of Government of Nepal. Awareness has been increased, so has the cultivated areas. New value-added products are coming up. New entrepreneurs and startups are coming up. SMEs are coming up. And you can see these days, small retail shop as well. You can find millets and other future smart foods here, kind of notice you can see everywhere these days. So these are some of the impacts of these recent initiatives. So not only federal government, but provincial government, they have also their own plan and vision. Like you may know, the Karnali province, they have already announced through its first cabinet meeting, developing basis of organic province, and they have their 15-year organic mission plan too. And then importantly, they have already started marketing this future smart fruit branding, through branding like a Mulyavan, you can see here. So it's by default organic production. So they brand it as a Mulyavan. These are other programs that the provincial government are doing on the basis of and based on the framework that federal government has provided. Likewise, local government, they have their own program too, but basically they are implementing our federal program. In this particular year, we are working with 168 municipalities for the promotion of future smart crop. There are other institutions as well, especially FAO and other development partners, and so many other non-government organizations and government institutions working in the areas of promotion and conservation of future smart crops. So we have a lot of challenge. I won't be going in greater detail, but like I mentioned before, there is a huge lack of awareness and importance of this millets and other small future smart crops. There are social taboos attached to millets and other nuts crop, and we are lagging much behind in product development and value addition. And we have a weak policy and funding support towards millets and other future smart crop. As you also know, our focus is more on basic cereals and vegetables and fruits, but they are getting less behind in that regard as well. Another very big issue is a high cost of production and low return. That's why people are not want to be in millet production and value addition in the years. That's why this is the greatest challenge, I guess, how to reduce the cost of production so that farmers can retain in the business. Fragmented value chains is another big problem. Production side is scattered, not reached by the all-weather roads, and consumers are basically in the cities. And then there is a huge gap between a production side and then consumption side, and then a lot of losses, quality deterioration, and the issue with the timely supply. So this is another challenge. And perhaps out of 6, the most important one is poor research, education, and database. Because we talk more about millets, but there are lots of other future smart food, which even we haven't started, collecting information about them. We have a little, but that way insufficient. So we have to strengthen our research system to do collection, characterization, and then conservation. And education system, they don't recognize future smart food in general. So we have to start right from the school education. And also database, like I mentioned before, we don't have a disaggregated data of future smart food. Even millets, we have only database on millet. So this is the situation. That's why to address those challenges, what will be the government priority in coming days? We are planning to have a national framework of conserving and promoting future smart foods and future smart crops. And perhaps in upcoming 16th periodic plan, we'll have one flagship program on promoting these future smart foods and future smart crops. And we have to prepare consolidated database on news, and also documentation and scaling of traditional knowledge attached to the future smart foods, food culture, and then technologies, and then wisdom related to future smart food and future smart crops. And also we have to assess and prioritize news following established criteria to qualify as FS crops, future smart crops. We think of 50, but it could be more than 50, but we have to develop a specific criteria to qualify as a future smart crop. And also we have to run a big awareness campaign to change the perception of general consumers and stakeholders, and capacity enhancement of related stakeholders, including researcher, educator, extension agent, farming community, and private sector is very crucial. Likewise, we have to increase our funding and collection, evaluation, characterization, and genetic enhancement and utilization. And also, not only the research, but also value chain development part, we have to increase our fund. Like this year, drastically reduce the budget that we send to Palikas and Pradesh. Pradesh, 0 this time. Last year, it was around 60 billion last year, 60 million. And we have to try and explore and popularize future smart crop best traditional cuisines. We have a lot of traditional cuisine, but we have to explore and document them. We haven't done quite as of now. Likewise, we need to support startups. If you see the case of India, thousands of startups coming up in the millet business, but in our case, handful of them are in operation. So we have to especially focus on them and provide startup and incubation services and support for them to thrive well in the business. Likewise, like I mentioned before, Community Seed Bank is the very important grassroots institution for the conservation of future smart crops. So we have to make a provision of capacity building of Community Seed Bank and then providing other technical support. So take-home message, I would like to read out for you, transformation of current food system into sustainable and resilient one is must to avoid the looming crisis of food scarcity leading to food crisis. Promoting future smart crops could prove to be an instrumental to this end. And what we believe is local government is the right government to take the lead. But for that, supporting policy and increased investment and international support are critical. So these are take-home messages. So with all that in place, I would like to again repeat this. Promoting future smart crops could prove a gateway to rural transformation in Nepal. So we have already started, and in this millet year, we did a bit, and then that tempo should be continued in days to come. Thank you very much for your time and patience.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shrestha, for your excellent presentation. I'm really impressed by the government leadership, which are essential to promote future smart food and crops into food security, nutrition, in the climate change scenario. National strategy and government commitment and system approach is really, really key. And I do see Nepal is on the way. I recall back in 2016, I had honored to work with the country in the region and country level on this Future Smart Food. And I remember all the scholars, all the experts, government officials have made great efforts, and see right now it has been already on the way to turn into reality. Through the Nepal systematic approach on this 5-pronged strategy on promoting Future Smart crops, and we see this scientific word, I have seen a lot of their Nepalese, their journals, and actually promoting Future Smart crops in their major publications. And I see that 4 out of 5 action tracks there in this strategic action plan for etc. And you have over 20 schools on the media campaign, and you have national and provisional initiative are all on the right way, and it's just a matter of time to make the really bear the fruits. So now I would like to give the floor to our audience. I'm sure they have a lot of questions, and there are a lot of the hands on. So I would like to request our on-site moderator to please invite a few questions and comments from the floor, and we'd like to hear from them. And please direct your question and comment to our speakers. So may I kindly ask for our microphone to be given to the colleagues who raised their hands, please.
Sure, Dr. Lee, thank you very much for smoothly handling the technical session. If we have any questions from the audience here to any of our speakers, we'd like to request a raise of hand. I'd also like to announce that as the MC for the event, I have to keep the time, and we only have 5 more minutes for this session. So we're separating 5 minutes for the Q&A. So I'd like to request anyone from the audience, if they have any questions. Can we please pass the microphone? We'd like to request you to kindly state your name, the organization you're working for, and who do you direct the question to?
I'm Sarvesh Tastamgol from Central Department of Biotechnology, and my question is to NARC. He was talking about the policy making for the genetic enhancement of the crops. What is the status of genetically modified crops in Nepal? And what is its policy and stand of the government in case of its manipulation?
Yes.
Thank you for the question. By the way, I'm not from NARC. I'm from the Ministry, Government of Nepal. Straight to your question, as per our regulatory provision, you can't import even GMO. Okay, so I'm not talking about GMOs. They are landed, just opposite. They are the natural stuff. So, but you can import GMO for research purpose, but you have to take a permission. Yeah, for consumption purpose, for commercial purpose, it's banned.
Thank you very much. Ajay, एउटा question. So we have one more question.
So for Ram Prasad sir, one more question I want to raise. So we are doing the research on genetically modified crops for enhancement of crops, and if we can produce, if we are successful, what is the fate of this crop? Can we go for distribution or cultivation of this crop? What is the strategy of government of Nepal for this?
Okay, what I can say is I can just present in front of you the government position, what our act and rules says. So as per, like I said, in the market, you can have, I don't know, you can have a GMO-based crops and commodities. We don't know. But as per the government rules, you can't do commercial business of GMO. Our Seed Act says, like I said before, you can bring that for research purpose, but you have to take permission. Yeah, that's. GMO, I'm not quite sure. Somebody from NARC, they can light, they can shed a light on what she's saying. I don't know if we have that facility to produce GMO crops in Nepal. I don't think. You are talking about genetically modified crops, so I don't think we have that facility because, like I said, we don't have a legal provision of doing GMO, business GMO crops. So we could better talk later on in that regard. But so far I know, we don't have that provision of GMO crop register or something like that. And in this particular presentation is totally different, nothing to do with the GMO. We're talking about conserving our land resources, our own property, our own identity for the future.
Yes, the topic of discussion here is future smart crops that are more resilient towards environmental changes, which also links to increasing livelihoods, elevating poverty, and also because they are nutrient dense, they also help in combating malnutrition in various levels and various aspects. So with that, we come to the end of this technical session. I would now like to hand over the floor to Dr. Lee one more time for a quick wrap-up of this technical session. Of some final words from our chair, Dr. Lee.
Thank you so much for this excellent presentation from all the 4 countries. I think I do learn a lot from different perspectives and also different progress made on the future smart crops. I see a lot of similarity on identification of the crops that are nutrition density and also climate resilient, which has great potential to revive all this livelihood improvement and also to have also a local culture conservation, etc. So we have the good kind of the understanding, common ground, and we also see some of the difference between the countries in terms of the government leadership or commitment from the countries. I do think the government leadership is key to drive everything forward on this major issue because this matter was the structural change that will start with the overall analysis of the hunger, malnutrition, water gaps. Where when we see in Nepal, for instance, we see the gaps on the, for instance, like anemia and others. So therefore, we can focus more on those crops that are more on the iron, the density that can address this issue on a more affordable manner. So we do need to know what is the feature in our own country on malnutrition. Then we can prioritize those crops in the target areas. And we do need this kind of approach of a systematic value chain approach from beginning to the end. So I see the way that we can factor into the 5-year national plan is critical. And it might be very important to also look into the figure of the budget that can have commitment and also the budgetary allocation on this product. So we know in the past, where there is in the Green Revolution period, a lot of the kind of the effort has been made in a good way. For instance, give the high allocation of the funds for the research areas and also for the application. So right now, if we want to revive for the future smart crops, then we do need more commitment. And also through this government leadership, it will attract a lot of more attention from other the sectors and other donors to join these efforts, because there is the common understanding and there is based on the science, because a high-C diet is something demanded by every country. So if we match this one, this common goal of the healthy diet, we'll be able to have affordable the health that be provided. Then we'll have chance to have secured demand that will create this positive circle of the whole food value chain. So with this one, I want to, with my best blessing, and we're looking forward to working closely with all the countries and to have more of the national, regional, and international and inter-regional sharing of the knowledge. Like today, we could have more periodical sharing in such a kind of a way would be wonderful. Thank you once again for all your effort. Yeah, thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lee. And yes, a big, big round of applause for all our panelists, for our presenters who came here physically as well as virtually to talk about the future smart crops. Now, future smart crops, ladies and gentlemen, is a category of promising but neglected and underutilized species that has a key role to play when it comes to battling against poverty and malnutrition under challenging climatic variabilities. Now, future smart crops are nutrient dense. They're also climate resistant. They require low external inputs and they're very well adapted to the local climate, environmentally friendly as well, contributing to soil health and agrobiodiversity. They're also economically viable and locally available and socially acceptable. Now, ladies and gentlemen, from the technical session, we now shift our focus to mainstreaming future smart crops, where experts and thought leaders will navigate the strategies and pathways to integrate smart crops into the mainstream of our agricultural practices. This panel session also serves as a bridge between visionary ideas and a practical implementation. We have assembled a distinguished group of experts who will share their perspective, their experiences, and recommendations on how we can collectively propel smart crops into the forefront of global agriculture. I'd like to first of all invite our moderator onto the stage, Dr. Ganesh Raj Joshi, former acting Chief Commissioner of CIAA and former Secretary of Government of Nepal. We're extremely delighted to have Dr. Joshi with us to moderate this panel discussion on mainstreaming the future of smart crops. I'd also like to invite on stage Dr. Hari Bahadur Kesi, Director General, Department of Agriculture, Government of Nepal, to give us the government perspective when it comes to mainstreaming the future smart crops. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming him with a big, big round of applause. To shed some light on private sector and consumers' perspective, we also like to invite on stage Ms. Meena Pokhrel, member of World Farmer Association. We hope that you'll show the same respect and admiration while we invite all our distinguished guests onto the stage. May I also please invite on stage Dr. Ashok Iyer, Principal Scientist at ICRISAT. Research and innovation perspective is what Dr. Ashok will be bringing on to the panel discussion today. May I also please invite on stage Dr. Surendra Joshi, Senior Resilient Livelihoods Specialist at ICIMOD. He'll be all talking about climate change and mountain development perspectives. Very delighted to have Dr. Joshi with us. And we would also like to have a nutritional perspective in this panel discussion, for which we'd like to invite Ms. Monique Buen to kindly join us on stage, the Global Nutrition Lead at SNV Netherlands Development Organization. Very glad that Ms. Monique could join us as well for this panel discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned, mainstreaming the future smart crops is the topic of this panel discussion. And without any further delay, may I please request our moderator, Dr. Ganesh Raj Joshi, to kindly take the proceedings forward.
Thank you very much. I think, first of all, I'd like to thank the organizer for entrusting this responsibility to me. So without wasting much time, I think we have seen the presentation regarding the importance and the scope, as well as the challenges for promoting the future smart crops. So I will direct first round of questions from Dr. Hari, Director General of Department of Agriculture. Then if time permits, probably we'll have further questions, second round today. So, first question to the Director General of Department of Agriculture. As already mentioned by Dr. Ramakrishna, Nepal is rich in biodiversity, including agrobiodiversity, which exhibits significance to mankind and this planet, of course. Could you please explain how this agrobiodiversity is being utilized in Nepal in order to improve food security and nutrition of the people in Nepal? Just briefly, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. For this very important question. As you already mentioned that most of the initiatives and the status of the agro biodiversity or the future smart crop promotion is covered in the quite recent presentation of Dr. Ramakrishna Shrestha. These crops are the very important crop that we recognize for the nutrition and food security from long time before, because these are the crops which are very much fit in the mountain agriculture and quite some of the crops in Tarai agriculture also. And most of the people who are residing in the upland, in mountains, they were mostly using these crops as for their food security from long before. Because the major crops, the rice is the major crop right now for the consumption, and maize and wheat. These are mostly in irrigated condition, and some up in upland. But the millets and other crops, the future smart crops that we recognize, they are the food of our people from long time. So this is these crops are utilized as for the food security from long time. Not only for the food security, these crops are equally important for the feed security, or feed and fodder security also, because our agriculture is integrated. And for integrated agriculture, we need food, feed, fodder, everything. And these crops are very good for feed and fodder security also. So this is the status. And we are using these crops on food security, and currently the nutrition security issues are becoming more prominent around the globe. Before we were talking about food security, but now nutrition security is important, equally important. So these crops are nutrient dense, and very important for the nutrition security also. So these are equally promoted. In the previous presentation, I already mentioned, equally promoted for the nutrition security and for the food security also. And currently, these crops are getting attention in the market due to increased awareness of their nutrition, and many startups are coming up, and these are now become the complementary food for the main dishes, and are getting attention in the city areas also. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Casey. Now, next question to Ms. Meena Pokhrel. She is also a member of the World Farmer Organization. Creating demand for future smart crops is crucial for promoting their value chains. In this regard, what role the private sector, including cooperatives and even farmer organizations, can play in contributing to promote the future smart crops? Yeah, to Ms. Meena.
Thank you, sir. And at first, I would like to thank you, FAO Nepal, for providing me an opportunity to be here. And if you look the private sector perspectives as a farmers group, as a producer group, and any other, we can do both by creating the demand or the future smart crops and making them facilitate to grow it in the production. But we need, at first, the main thing is the campaigning and the in both perspectives. From farmers' perspective, why why they need to grow these all foods, why they need to produce this, is the market assuring market and all this, and from the consumer perspective to develop the demand of these fruits. Because that we are here and we had lunch today, and we never asked hotel and others to cook any of these species. That is one, that we are here and how many we can cook the food which are listed in here. And it is not neglected, we are making it neglected. One is that. Another, we need big campaigning and orientation for the farmers, how to grow it, where we have to provide them technical support and all these things. And just say the example that I have been listening, the millet and all these things, and increasing demand of the millet and increasing production of the millet is for the burying the alcohol, not for nutritional value and all these things. So we have to make consumer first aware on their medicinal value and nutritional value and all other value. And this is the example, let me give the example of the Haudunia cordata, is the commonly known as fish mint, and we are taking the capsule of this as a food supplement, and it is abundantly found in everywhere, and it is very easy to grow. Even I haven't seen this in the list of the neglected vegetables. So these are the example, and so we have to give them the credit facility to farmers and assure the market. We are here and talking and all these things that we are ready to increase the production of this and this. I just want to give you an example that it's like 6 years ago, farmers from Sarlai districts, they came here with 5 trucks of yam, and they didn't get a price, and they were forced to sell it in very nominal price. And last year I visited to Ilam, and the farmers of the Sriyantu and Samalbung, they are selling the squash in 2 rupees per kilo. So it's the time for us to become and set a common goal for the production of the future smart crops, and equally to create the demand. So thank you.
Next question to Dr. Ashok Kumar. Can you hear me?
Good evening, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So, as a principal scientist in International Crop Research Institute for Semi-Arid Tropics in India, probably you are engaged in research and innovation on future smart crops, including others. So, could you please briefly highlight how ICRISAT is supporting the research and innovation regarding the future smart crops, so that the other countries also can benefit from your research and innovation? Yeah, Dr. Ashok Kumar, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. First of all, I would like to thank the FAO Nepal immensely for giving an opportunity to be part of this important policy dialogue on millets. And in fact, we had the honor of having them here a few months ago. I'm very happy again to touch base with them. So as my previous speakers have also mentioned, millets are the future smart crops, have so many advantages, which you are hearing, I think, since morning so many times. But if you see globally, the research on these crops is very limited and very scattered, except some institutions, for example, like ICRISAT, where last 50 years a lot of work is happening. But elsewhere, the research is at not that great level, and even if it is there, it is very scattered. There is no kind of compiled research or innovations put at one place. So the first thing what we have done is actually we have brought everything onto one page, and we have compiled what is first available, what is the state of the art in future smart crops in terms of research, in terms of increasing the productivity, in terms of processing methods and intervention and what needs to be done, what is the future roadmap, and how we can sustain these interventions. So all these things actually we have put together. And we are sharing these materials widely. I mean, starting from the, let's say, gene bank. For example, we have the largest collection of the future smart crops. For example, around 13,000 accessions we are maintaining. In the small millets itself, I am not talking about sorghum and pearl millet, which are much bigger millets and where the resources are very strong. So all these germplasm accessions are well characterized and multiplied and widely shared globally. In fact, we have seen in the last 2-3 years, there is a significant increase in the number of requests coming from not only the developing world, from many requests coming from even from US and UK, I mean Europe these days for the germplasm of small millets. So that is one thing, we are catering the needs of various researchers or various governments. And number two, we are sharing all the best know-how available, not only how to do research or product development or data-driven decisions in multi-environment testing and product advancement, but innovations in the seed chain. And once you produce, how best we can process them, what are the most low-cost processing methods which can be done locally as per the consumer's taste, and how can you make the people consume or like the products. So all this information and knowledge along with genetic resources and technologies, including molecular markers, phenomic technologies, everything is widely shared. That is one important thing. Number two is like training the people, training the researchers, collaborators, training the young students actually. And now this is a hot area, you know, many institutions, many people are coming forward to work on, you know, these, future smart crops, which are otherwise very limited scientific resources are available, or very little research has been done so far. And in addition, we showed how these millets can be produced, the seed production aspects from a well-established, let's say, formal system to kind of local seed systems, community-based seed systems, how can they actually be multiplied, and how the purity can be maintained using the digital tools, DNA markers, and so on. Another thing is, while we are coming close to the International Year of Millets, so we are developing a roadmap, to continue these interventions and make them mainstreamed into our regular research and production and consumption, everything. So, and we are partnering with a number of millet missions, multiple countries. And in a bigger country like India, we work with a number of provincial governments. They are called states here. So we work with a number of state governments, millet missions, and providing technical support so that these interventions are mainstreamed. The production and consumption happens in a sustainable way, providing multiplier benefits to the consumers and producers. Yeah, that's in brief from my end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ashok. Yeah, next question to Dr. Surendra Joshi, who is affiliated with ICIMOD. I think he's a researcher researching on the mountain, Hindu Kush Himalaya region. So, Dr. Joshi, future smart crops are celebrated for their well adaptability to the changing climate. Basically, their adaptability to the harsh climatic conditions. Based on your experience and research, could you please provide your insight on future smart crops under the changing climatic conditions? Be very briefly, please.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, FAO and the government of Nepal for inviting me. So regarding climate change, ICIMOD has produced 2 landmark reports very recently. One is about the comprehensive assessment of the Hindu Kush Himalaya. Second one is focused more on ice, water, society, and the ecosystem. And what both reports are saying, that climate change is happening at much faster pace in this region, in Hindu Kush Himalaya, than in other places. The warming is happening more here. The 1.5 degree global means much more for us. At least it is 0.3 to 0.7 degree more for us. This means the many crops that we used to rely on, they are going to face more stress, more challenges. For example, this morning, Dr. Lee and the Director General of FAO, they said that, these future smart crops, they need low water, or water requirement is less. So this means one of the most visible impact of climate change is too little and too much water. And as per ICIMOD's research, the smallholder farmers, the mountain farmers, they are going to be more vulnerable because of the increased, the drought, the warming, as well as they are dependent more on either rain or the water that is dependent on ice and the springs. And the springs are getting dried up. So future smart crops in this perspective, in the changing climatic context, offer more opportunities for us to build our resilience. So it is not by choice, it is by compulsion. We need to promote future smart food in the changing climate context.
Yeah, next question to Ms. Monique Buyan. I think she has her own farm, 3-hectare farm, a permaculture farm, no? In Dhulikhel. I think you are planting, cultivating pearl millet, kodo, finger millet. So, yeah, you are also a very good entrepreneur, adding value to the products, not only concentrating on production. So, Ms. Monique, besides climatic aspects or well adaptability of the future smart crops, they are well known for their high nutritional value. Globally, little progress has been achieved to reduce malnutrition. Even in our case, as Ramakrishnaji already presented, 25% already stunted. No? So, in this context, how the future smart crops can contribute to address stunting, wasting, and other nutritional deficiencies, as per your experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. I think it's an important question that we have been circling around all morning and all afternoon. Thank you for the invitation and the ability not only to farm in Nepal, but also to contribute from my NGO perspective as a global nutrition lead for SNV. I think future smart crops, a single crop is never going to solve nutrition security. We need diet diversity because we need a mix of nutrients and we need enough, and we need enough energy. So in order to reduce stunting, and I actually need to congratulate Nepal because even though it's still high, it has brought down stunting to a considerable rate from 50% to far less. So let's not be too negative. And that is partly due to increased production and increased access and increased affordability where it's there. We need to have both the quantity and the quality of food. And by introducing these crops that are reintroducing, I should say, these crops and bringing them more to the forefront and having higher nutrient density in the staple foods, where often it's lacking if we look at rice or if we look at maize. It's children, particularly children where stunting originates, need less bulky food. And that's the most important thing in order to overcome stunting. But stunting is not produced only by food. It's also produced by health, it's produced by clean water, by hygiene, and by childcare. And in this sense, we will need to make sure that the future smart crops are indeed contributing to a better livelihood, to a better economic development. So they need to be, as mentioned this morning, economically viable. Because otherwise, and with the feminization of agriculture in Nepal as a result of outmigration of many young men, we need to be very careful in making sure that the technology is available to reduce the labor demand that is needed to produce those crops and to address the high production cost also in terms of labor. Because if we want to reduce stunting, we will need to make sure that there's adequate childcare and that the mothers that are taking care of the fields are also able to take care of the children.
I think we have over 15 minutes, so maybe 3 minutes each to the expert panelists. So I think maybe your insights would be very much valuable to the audience. So let's start the next round to DG Dr. Hari. In addition to what Ramakrishnaji presented, because he has also presented on the challenges and the issues regarding the FSCs. So what are the challenges and opportunities to mainstream the future smart crops in the government policy, plans and programs? So in bullets. Okay.
Thank you, sir. The most important point to consider here as a challenge, or even I would say the threat, is the fear of loss of our land races. Many of these land races of our future smart crop are being endangered or lost. Some of them are already lost forever. So conservation of these land races of future smart crop is really a challenge for us, because these crops are not much utilized by a younger generation. And now we are facing the food habit change from these type of commodities to other rice-based food habit, and also some of the food which are really very less nutritive food from the processed products. So this food habit and the loss of these land races or future smart crop is linked, because we have not utilized this much. If we can utilize this much, it helps for the conservation also. So these can go together. So conservation of land races is really very much threatened right now, and also the changing food habit. And the low priority of the government itself, our extension, our research, our in course curriculum, in our education, this very, very less priority has been given. This is really a challenge to change that to high priority sector. That is very important. And as Ramakrishna ji also mentioned that the productivity of these crops is really low. And the cost of production, mainly due to the labor intensive farming, the cost of production is a bit high. So this is another challenge for the research, to develop a variety which are productive and to develop this mechanization and other approaches which make our this future smart crop more competitive in the market, even in the commodities we are importing. We have to develop the competitiveness of our product also. So the challenges are both there in conservation, in priority, in consumption itself, and also in the research, education, and every sector. So what we are doing, as Dr. Shrestha has already mentioned, that we have to focus on the school children, school education for the consumption and awareness building on the nutrition of these crops. And for that, the awareness is not enough. We have to have the new products which are easily attracting the youngsters, the students in the school or even in our home. So the product diversification, new product innovation is also very much important to utilize these crops. As I already mentioned, if we can make utilization better, it will help for the conservation and the promotion of the crop itself. So these are some of the issues that we have to think and we have to work. And we started already. In recent 4 or 5 years, we have started a lot of campaigns. We have many startups are promoted, and many of the products are being developed. And scenario is a bit changing, but still it needs more investment in this sector and more priority to be taken in this sector. So currently, yes, I am at the end. Currently, we are developing a 16th plan, and also a new fiscal year, the policy and programs is coming. So we are targeting that, because if we can include in the policy and programs, even in the budget of the government itself, it will help to give message to the private sector and to other NGO, INGO development partners also, that the government is really positive, really investing in this sector. So this is the priority of the government, so we have to follow the government priorities. Then it will attract the investment from other sectors also. So we are trying in that direction to increase the investment in this sector. So if we can do this, and surely we can help to promote these future smart crops, and we can help the whole community to conserve this for further utilization and to promote this in the market also. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Director General. Yeah, in this afternoon presentation, we saw, there were the issues related to collaboration, coordination were mentioned by our presenters. I think in this context, how can we, is there scope of collaboration between private sectors and public sector to promote these crops? If yes, how can we initiate or in what areas collaboration and partnership is possible? To Ms. Meena.
Thank you, sir. As I'm here and I'm representing the organization, and where we do have a farmers 1.3 million, and we didn't know and we don't know what the government is doing. Now I came to know what government is doing. So this is the example that we do not have collaborations between us and government organization. But as a farmers organization and as a cooperatives, we can translate the government policy to farmers levels as what is going to happen and what is the situation. One is that, and another that, sir, I like your presentation very much, and these cooperatives and farmers organization and private entity and business house could be a device to disseminate this all information to grassroots level, as farmers are the frontliner. And another that sir already mentioned, but I think that we need to establish and we need to form the secretariat for the promotion of the future smart crop, like we did for the campaigning for the celebration of the International Year of the Family Farming and United Decade of the UNDYFF plus 10, and NSSFL is shouldering the responsibility of that campaigning. So we have to do, it's the time to make first campaigning from both perspectives, from consumer perspective, okay, these are the food, these are the spices, these are the things which is medicinal value and the nutritional value and other value one side, and at the same time, it's the time to go to farmers, why don't you produce this and that. But it's not easy. It's not easy to just go to farmers and ask them to plant this and that. We need to encourage them by providing incentives, by providing soft loan, by providing technical backstreaming, by providing seed and seedlings and other farm inputs. That is one. And another, the big challenge which we are facing here, we all are from the agriculture sector. I think I don't need to say this. Everybody, we know that main things is the marketing. So it's the time to make the marketing of either C2C marketing, cooperative to cooperative marketing, or cooperative to business marketing, or cooperative to direct marketing, like in close collaboration with the local government. We can ask the land for the Hat Bazaar and this. And at the same time, this is the, it's the big role of the big business house also, like the Bhatpatini and others, to provide this food. Okay, if I like any of these crops and vegetable, where to go to buy? We don't know. So this is the time for the big business house to sell this product also, and government should facilitate for this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, next question to Dr. Ashok Kumar. I think as a researcher, you have over 25 years of experience researching on different types of crops and different dimensions of research areas. So, Dr. Kumar, what are the research gaps that you have identified from your experience? How these gaps can be fulfilled, and what could be the role of the future RB center like ECRISAT to fill this gap? Dr. Ashok Kumar.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. As already indicated by many speakers, actually millets were part and parcel of our food systems over millennia. But I think roughly last 50 years or 40-50 years, they're out of the cropping systems. And in the light of changed climate and changed irrigation potential, cropping systems, markets, and people's food preferences, or even government policies in terms of subsidized foods. Now we don't know, which are the areas, where these future smart crops can be grown, and where they really fit, what kind of systems they really provide, profitable ventures to the farmers and also benefit the consumers. And as I already mentioned, there is very limited genetic resources and even the data, particularly the characterization data, the kind of donors required, to do a better research. That information is very, very limited. As a plant breeder, I used to make hundreds of crosses in the crop I work. But in small millets, if you want to make a cross, it is really very difficult because the floret size is very, very small, actually very tiny. So then the number of crosses are very limited, success rate is limited, then so the breeding pipeline is small. Then because we don't get much products, the testing is also very limited. We don't have data on the performance of these varieties or new lines across locations. And even if you develop and release few varieties here and there, there is no functional seed chain actually anywhere in the world for that matter to make them really available to the farmers so that they can grow them and benefit out of them, including taking them to the consumers. And even if they are produced very little knowledge or commercial utilization as a processed foods for these crops, so that overall consumption is less. But thanks to the International Year of Millets, I think in the last 2-3 years, there is a significant change that is happening in terms of at least consumers' awareness globally. And people are trying to lay hands on the millet products. But we have a long way to go to, unless to meet that demand, we need to increase the production. So to increase that production, we need to have very, very robust technologies and policies. So some of the means through which we can address these challenges is actually we need to map the demand domains and agroecologies where these future smart crops can be grown. we need to further, extensively collect and characterize the genetic resources of this data, and we need to share them widely so that researchers can uptake, use them widely, and develop much more varieties, new varieties, improved ones. And we need to develop, crossing techniques. In fact, at ICRISAT, we standardized hot water treatment and chemical hybridizing agents, actually to make, crosses better, and even to identify the truly crossed ones once you make a cross. Those markers also, QC markers, we have developed at ICRISAT, which we wish to share, which we are sharing actually. And then once the breeding pipelines develop prototype products, they need to be taken very robustly to the multi-environment trials. And based on the data, on the performance of the lines, we need to advance the products to the next level, national variety testing, and eventually towards their release. And the seed chain maintenance and strengthening the community seed systems. I think one of the speakers, Ramakrishna ji, I think he mentioned this. This is very, very critical actually to make them really sustainable. I mean, the farmers can really get access if we can follow these mechanisms. So at present, ICRISAT is working on the end-to-end value chain on all these aspects. And we are sharing the knowledge and sharing the genetic resources, improved varieties and technologies, and also even food processing methods, hand-holding the entrepreneurs. Actually, it was mentioned actually, one of the speakers, thousands of startups are coming in India using millets. Yeah, many of them are sourced from ICRISAT and Indian Institute of Millet Research. The technical backup comes from these places. And also developing a lot of context-specific food formulations. This is very critical. Most of the things, the consumer's local preferences, we need to first understand. A product that is consumed in Hyderabad, where we are here, where we located, may not be suitable in Nepal or Sri Lanka or any other country. So we need to first understand the food habits and preferences of the local communities, and then design the product as per that requirement. So that is one thing we do at our place, and we take those prototype products to the sensory evaluation by the local people, and based on their preferences, that will be commercialized eventually. And all these aspects, we believe that we need to train people across the value chain, all the stakeholders, starting from farmers to processors to students, including the policymakers. So that will be very, very critical, and that's what we are doing actually to make these interventions sustainable. I think this dialogue itself is a great mechanism for cross-learning, and I'm sure this will enable us to take these interventions forward beyond this International Year of Millets. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Ashok. Yeah. Next question to Dr. Surendra Joshi. I think you have also several years of experience working in ICIMODA and SNB and many, many other institutions. As we know, these crops are not well researched. Even in the morning, afternoon session also, many country presentations were there, very less research, these crops, considering various dimensions. So this demands to further identify research gaps on the climate perspectives, on the aspects of, related to various aspects of the future smart crops. Could you please mention some gaps that needs to be urgently taken up for their promotion? Thank you.
Thank you. Many gaps have been highlighted this afternoon. So my focus is from the changing climate context. So one of the gap is, as Dr. Ramakrishna highlighted, we have a rich agrodiversity, and we have so many good land races. But do we know which land races is more resilient to the changing climate? The second, this is the gap that we need to understand, among the land races, which are more resilient, more resistant. The second gap is, if we see this, there are a number of adaptation practices that have been promoted. but do we know which adaptation practices are adopted and the uptake is higher by the communities? And if uptake is there, what are the factors driving to this? And then regarding the land races, whether it is because of their morphological characters, molecular, biochemical, what are the traits that make them resilient? Generally, we say that, the future smart crops are resilient, but we don't highlight, what makes them resilient. And in the changing context, for example, if the 1/3 glaciers will dry up, as per ICIMOD's report, with the current, the scenario, with 1.5 degree by the end of century. If 2/3 glaciers will be gone with the current climate warming scenario by the end of century, still this crop will survive. Do we know this? Under these different scenarios, different projections, so we need to understand what will be the suitable habitat remaining for the future smart crops, by 2050, by the end of century. So we can have this, the different scenarios, different projections, and map the suitability of the habitats, then the traits, then the promotion of adaptation solutions that make communities resilient in the case of too much, too little water, or heat and droughts, those kind of things. I think these are the gaps from my perspective.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Joshi. Last question, but not the least. So, Ms. Monique, I think with regard to the cost of nutrition, in Nepal, compared with the energy-rich diet, nutritional diet is 2 times costlier, expensive, while healthy diet is almost 3 times expensive. I think in this context, the affordability, the nutritional affordability is also should be a concern to all the promoters, all the researchers, and all the development practitioners. I think in this context, there is also an issue of nutritional availability and their utilization from these future smart crops. In this context, how far these crops will contribute for improving nutrition through improving the affordability as well? Thank you.
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I think for now, a lot of these crops, because they are considered as poor man's food, actually are low cost in the market. I'm not saying they're low cost in production, but they're low cost in the market. So in that sense, they can contribute and do contribute to more affordability of a nutritious diet because they're cheaper. But I think that's not all, because it's the diversity that they need. So the contribution that they need to make ultimately is still to the economic livelihoods of the populations that produce them, of the smallholder farmers and the cooperatives that are producing them. Because otherwise, there is this big tension between the income levels that are required for the farmers and are required in rural communities in order to be able to purchase food beyond what is in their self-sufficient basket, what they produce themselves, and what they need in terms of adding on and having access to the full variety of diversified food products in order to have a fully qualified and complete diet. So there is a tension with what is available in the market, and for poor people who have low incomes who need then access and buy those foods because they can't produce them themselves. So I think that's a tension, but fortunately many of these underutilized crops are undervalued and because of that relatively affordable. On the other hand, and that was the second question that was on your list, I know, is that some of these crops have, counteract on diabetes, that help with cardiovascular diseases, they also have anti-nutrients. And that means that processing becomes a very important factor to reduce, and that in the selection of the crop species and of the land races and potentially in some breeding, not only it should be looking at climate resilience, but it should also be looking at the content of these anti-nutrients, because otherwise, ultimately, the anti-nutrients and the lesser accessibility and availability, bioavailability of the nutrients is reduced. So the processing and the processing technology, both at the industrial level, which is for the bigger market, as well as the rural community level, as well as in the household, is very important. And interestingly, and I think that is going to promote again, a lot of the traditional food dishes that are, people traditionally knew what to do to counteract quite a few of those anti-nutrient factors. So a lot of the traditional dishes in Nepal actually address this. They're roasting, they're fermenting, they're germinating. Kwato, one of your famous dals, is germinated because it reduces an anti-nutrient, and by that, and then cooking it, it's more digestible and better available. So I think the promotion of those traditional ethnic foods is what is going to make a lot of these underutilized crops more attractive and more cool for the whole population and not only for specific groups that are currently eating them. And while we can always pressure on the health benefits of food, ultimately it's about what is attractive, it needs to be cultural identifiable with and cool, because otherwise people won't eat it. They don't eat because they're getting healthy. They eat because they are in a community, they're happy, they're healthy.
Okay, thank you. I think we do also have a question and answer session. Please direct to whom you are asking the questions. Please be brief. And answer should also be very brief so that we can save time.
Can we please pass the microphone to the gentleman at the back and at the front as well? So we have two people at the front and at the back as well.
Hello, Namaste. I'm Sangam Sherpa. I'm a farmer and I'm concept developer of organic agritourism development concept. And I'm practicing organic farming and this, let's say, neglected and very important topics about this food. And I'm promoting these crops and items since 12 years in my farms today. My concept is to not only promote these neglected products, but farmers themselves need to establish a farm stay that you can directly sell your product to your restaurant, farm stay. So I'm practicing that since quite a long time. And my question is, since this long time practice and working with my own way, sometimes it's very tiring because we are very tired and would bring some way that we can get more easy to grow, like seeds, technology, market, and things like that, but it's not working. So I've been seeing this, all procedures are happening since in the beginning that all international presenters also presented that it doesn't seem that so nicely it's being grown in Kenya, Bhutan, and other places. So I'm asking that today we are discussing about technology, like Nepal is very terraces mountain lands. So every year farmers put a lot of efforts to put inputs for their crops, But due to the, let's say, sometime less rain, sometime excessive rain, if there is less rain, no crop growing. If there is excessive rain, all the inputs which has been put there by the farmers is gone to the Bangladesh into the sea, you know. So now I'm practicing to build like raised beds in the mountains that we can preserve our inputs for next crops, you know, next season. For instance, this year we did millet, and after the millet goes, there are still remaining some inputs that which we put it there, so we could grow like that. So my question is, Dr. Hari, or all of you representatives of very high level of government here. So basically we need to do now is, what I think is, farmers needs like certified seeds, like foxtail or finger millet or whatever. That should be the best one. And we need technology to plant them, like planting by every individual millet in the ground by all these poor females. It's very, sorry to say poor, but in the village, all farmers are very poor. And it costs a lot of energy, you know. And harvesting time also, they should pick single millet by hand, you know. And of course, if they grow a lot of millet, there is no market, of course. So I think this convention, this program should dedicate to those area, like input, organic inputs, you know, or what sort of pesticide is there. And in the village, if we grow millet, the most challenging thing is weeding, you know, because a lot of weeds are there, and it costs a lot of time and energy for farmers to get rid out of this weed. So I think we should focus on making this policy on those areas, like modern technologies to the farmers, awareness, and even in the schools that children could eat tiffin, like pancake out of buckwheat, pancake out of millet sort of thing. So I would like to know about the outcome, that how we could lead the future of these things. Thank you very much.
Yeah, actually, you have question as well as the answer also. So anyway, yeah, Dr. Hari.
Thank you, Sangamji. I think most of the queries were already covered in the presentation, and also what I already mentioned in my opinion. These crops were a bit neglected before, and currently in current years, in 4, 5, 6 years, the attention is getting on its research, extension, consumption, conservation, everything. So even as Dr. Shrestha presented, 12 of these land races are already registered in the formal seed system of the country, and we have now the seed, improved seed of these land races, of this species. Currently, I just want to share, our seed board has decided to register one more this cultivar of barley, which has almost 3 metric ton per hectare of the productivity. It was collected from Mustang, and it is very good in productivity things. So this type of research is going on, even for conservation, for exploration, for characterization, and for the registration and promoting the seed system also. This is going on, but it's not enough. Yet we know it's not enough. The investment in whole agriculture sector is not enough, and this is the neglected sector even more. That is one. The next is the mechanization issues are there. Yes, we have already identified these issues, and some of these issues are being resolved. As the NARC has developed the Chino Cooter, and also the millet de-husker is developed and is being promoted in many areas, for even for foxtail millet also. These are coming up. These are coming up, and we have to work together, even the private sector, other sectors work together to promote this to the rural farmers. This we have to do. So we are pushing our investment to local government so that they could lead the conservation and also the promotion of this. land access of these technologies to the farming community. As Dr. Shrestha has already mentioned, the 168 this municipality, they received the conditional grant to promote and conserve this type of crops in Nepal. So this is what we are working, and what we have to promote, what the things that we have to work on in the coming days also. Regarding the utilization, yes, utilization, as I already mentioned, it is very important. We can conserve our land resources by its utilization. If there is market demand, those commodities will be produced in the rural areas also, and it should be high productive, cost effective, that I already mentioned. So we are equally working for the nutritional awareness and other utilization campaigns through different schools, different municipalities, and that creates the demand. The demand is now almost demand is created, but we have to work equally simultaneously with the producer farmers, so that the demand is fulfilled from our domestic production, not from the import. So these two approaches should go parallelly, so that we can have our domestic product in the market. Because many of these commodities that we said future smart, they are also imported in the country to meet our demand. So these two approaches that we are working together, but still it needs more investment from all sectors and more coordination from all sectors in the country. Thank you, sir.
Namaste. Me, Shant Gautam. I am a natural farmer. I would like to express my views of FO's future smart crop strategies on behalf of natural farmer. I am cultivating different varieties of small millets, which is mentioned detailed in my article published in Millet Compendium. If we get proper training and support for its seed and other technical aspects, example, processing unit also, we are ready to do our best to enhance the implement of future smart crops issued by FO of United Nations. Can government support on seeds and dehusking machines of millets? Can we add, and one question, can we add Moringa oleifera in smart crop? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You have done a wonderful job in your farming, in your farm, that I know personally. And yes, I already mentioned that we are promoting this type of machineries also through our local government, not directly from the central government. Even some of the provincial government, they have this type of support on mechanization. And whatever machineries they available in the market, either developed by NARC and produced by our private sector or machinery producer, or they are available in the market through import, the government, maybe the local government or the provincial government can support for the mechanization of any type of, not only the de-husking or weeding, but any type of machineries that are related to these crops. This is on our program and policy itself. And you can, I think, contact with with the local government where you are working, if there is such type of program or not. If there is such type of program, they can support immediately. If not, then we can think of the program building in the next fiscal year also. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think due to time constraint, maybe it will be unfair on the part of the audience, probably, but एउटा question लिऊ के छ भने yeah.
If
Last
we
but
have,
not least, if you
yes.
have any question, if not, that would be nice.
I think our panelists themselves also really dwelled on many different aspects of mainstreaming the future smart crops. But still, if we do have any queries from anybody in the audience.
I think people are tired and then maybe, yeah. Thank you all the expert panelists for your insights and sharing with the audience today with many participants. I think there are challenges, of course. We have seen from the country presentation that these crops are least prioritized. Of course, when least prioritized, then investment is also very low. Naturally, that will imply that have implication to generation of technology very low, very poor. And as our, one of the participants pointed out, in terms of seeds, other supports, probably even now, the government people may not be able to address your concerns because it is least prioritized. Nevertheless, it has a very big scope, potentials to really transform our agri-food system in Nepal. As we have seen one of the presenters from Bangladesh, you see, out of the total import of millet, 13% is the share from Nepal. So if we can increase it, maybe next year 20%, and by that, maybe, yeah, the commodities should be very competitive, of course, because when production cost is too high, of course, that we may not be able to compete with the other competing countries. So with these remarks, I would like to thank all of you for cooperating me in running this session. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much to our moderator and to all our panelists. Maybe we should put our hands together and thank all our panelists for sharing their thoughts and insights. Thank you very much. We'd like to end this panel discussion with a group photograph, and then we are moving towards the closing remarks, the last remarks for the day. After which, we'd also like to invite each and every one of our distinguished guests, valued participants and audience to kindly join us for dinner as well. Mainstreaming the future smart crops. This panel discussion was very insightful, very optimistic as well. The challenges and opportunities that present itself when we talk about future smart crops. Thanking all our panelists and moderator, we would now like to move towards the closing remarks, the last remark for the event, for which may I please invite Dr. Revati Raman Paurel, Secretary, Livestock Development, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Government of Nepal.
Thank you, ma'am. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, participating in person and virtual as well in this program. International Policy Dialogue on Future Smart Crops. I think from the beginning of today's three sessions, first was the inaugural session, and second presentation session, and third one, the panel discussion session. I think we must have known that the problem, what are for the future smart crops and challenges, and also we have known that it has a tremendous scope for the development also. So regarding these points, we hope that the scope for the promotion of these crops is very much, because we know that more than 70% area is in our country are in the hilly areas or the mountainous areas. In those areas, there are so much varieties of, so much diversity of such future smart crop. Previously, it was called as poor man's food, as our panelists have already noticed it. And now it has become a rich man's food. So I think we can say that there are so much spaces for the development of this project for these commodities. The area is decreasing from our presentations from our presentation from different countries presenter, we know that the area is decreasing now, but demand is slowly creating. So the more investment is needed. If more investment is created, or if we do investment on these crops, then the area expansion will be gradually increased and our demand will be fulfilled. So awareness is needed for that. And for the crops increasing its demand, we should have done for the diversification and for the speciality development of these crops also. And for that, as one of our farmers have raised a question, that I have enthusiasm for doing such crops in more for larger scale, but is their government ready to support me? So this is the question, and alarming situation for our government also, because there are farmers, the poor farmers, and the farmers, they are sitting in very remote areas also. They have scope for developing such crops, but we have less support. We are doing less support to them. So that's why I think we have 3 tiers of government: local government, provincial government, and the federal also. So we should aware on this matter that the farmer have raised the question, and they are the genuine question. So these crops are climate resilient, nutritious, adaptive for the diverse conditions, grown in marginal land also, and demand low external input, and it is raising the income for villagers, and the people who are residing in the urban areas, they are demanding more and more, and it creates an environment to divert urban resources to the village also, and locally it can be managed locally easily. That's why these crops has the very much scope for the development. So in that situations, I have some points, because we know that all the things what we absolutely should do, but in spite of that, I have noticed some of the question that the research and development is the most important for this, because if there is no research and development, then we can't do any promotion programs, especially for the product development, variety development in these areas. And selection is needed, because locally available varieties are very promising, but there is needed of selection so that the productivity could be increased. And another one is to explore the possible area of consumption. Where is the consumption areas? School feeding, school meal maybe, or the army or police, or the large population area may be the one of the areas, and urban areas also I will tell you. And another one is the product development and product specialization, product speciality. So that will create room for the another step for the development, and create speciality, as I have already told. And it is women friendly. These crops are women friendly, can be grown easily, and in the remote areas also. And for that, is already we have noticed that the mechanization, friendly mechanization, because the mechanization whatever we have, they are for commercial crop only. It is not suitable for this future smart crops. So research and development should be on that matter. So we hope some on these recommendations. I think we have discussed so much, and from our expertise and technical team, they will draw a conclusion and give us some implementable recommendations, especially for ministry, and that will be recommended for the implementation and investment for for the provincial and local government also. Community-based seed support is one of the most important base for this promotion of these crops, because without seed, nothing can be done. So community can grow the seed, can conserve the seed, can grow the seed, and can distribute also for the seed. So that's why the community-based program is much needed to support, to promote these future smart crops. So, so at the end, I'm not going to tell so much. Without telling in these other matters, the seed is the most important, product development is the next phase, and marketing is the next step, and feedback. What is the feedback? Because without feedback, we can't go further development, and feedback is needed in the meantime of marketing, and again product development, and again product development, and marketing is the must, I think, the solution for the development of the future smart crops. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Dr. Rewati Raman Pauril, Secretary, Livestock Development, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we have come towards the end of the International Policy Dialogue on Future Smart Crops. Thank you for each and every one of you for your participation, for your active participation, and for being with us throughout the day. I hope you also visited the exhibition outside and also got some smart crops for yourself as well, and many different products were also displayed. Thank you very much once again for being a part of this momentous event, and I wish you all a very good evening ahead. Please do join us for dinner outside. Thank you very much and have a good evening.